What is up, guys? Welcome to the WAN show. We're remote again. Luke, we're remote again.
I'm so sorry.
What is going on? We're going to do in-person.
I'm sick this time.
We're going to do in-person WAN show.
This week to be the week back.
Eventually.
I'm under the weather.
Eventually. But we're keeping the streak alive. It's been Linus and Luke hosting the WAN show for over 2 years running now. Haven't missed a Friday. Because the truth is, we make fun of you guys for having nothing better to do on a Friday than watch WAN show. But like...
The reality is we don't have anything better to do either.
We're all here. We're all here. We've got a lot of great topics for you guys today. At least half of them are about mistakes we've made. I want to talk a little bit about what went on with our RTX 4080 coverage. Also, there's been some complaints about service from the LTT store. We've got some updates for you guys there. The other bad news you guys might not care about. It might actually be funny to you if Alex's reaction is anything to go by, but Luke and I have officially gone ARC. And you know what they say? Once you go ARC, you never go back to ARC again.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Do you want to do a headline topic too? I kind of took most of it.
Yeah, I mean, that is legitimately most things. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet plagued by performance issues. It's actually crazy. I don't know if you've seen this, but it's wild, and I have some takes. Also, the Doom Eternal soundtrack allegations are crazy.
Yeah.
Like really wild. And Bethesda/ID Soft's response to it is also wild. Like the whole thing is wild. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, let's roll that intro. The show is brought to you by OVHcloud, Vessi Footwear, and 45 Drives. Why don't we jump right into our first topic of the day, the RTX 4080 launch. So the 4080 is 1.5 times faster than the 3080 10 gig for a 71.42% price increase. So $700 to $1,200. Meanwhile, the 4090 is 1.6 to 1.7 times faster than the 3090, sometimes more, for a 6.7% price increase, $1,500 to $1,600. The issue with this is that the 4080 still sold out on day one, though we don't know how many NVIDIA shipped. And I think that where there's a bit of a disconnect between us and the community on the coverage of this card is that a lot of people feel that we didn't go after NVIDIA hard enough for the pricing of the RTX 4080. I think that's a valid criticism. I think that we could have made more noise about it, but having debriefed with the team after the fact, like, you know, obviously after we released the video, after we saw the comments from people, there's a few things I definitely want to address. So first of all, the idea that we are paid NVIDIA shills is just stupid. That's all I can really say about it. Not only has NVIDIA not sponsored us to do anything ever since the controversy with Hardware Unboxed, they have not so much as said a word to me personally. If you think for a second that with the way that we call out NVIDIA when they do something wrong, that we are somehow in their back pocket, I have no idea what to tell you. I can't anymore. That's it. That's my final word on the subject. I don't know what to tell you. You're confused. Okay? You hurt yourself in your confusion. So that's not what happened. What happened was a couple of things. A, we did call out the pricing, but it was towards the end of the video. And that's our bad, because we should know better. We know that by the end of the video, even a really good, really engaging video, you know, lots of great comments, really good like-dislike ratio, you know, every indicator we possibly have. People are tweeting at us, I love that video. Even a really good video is lucky to have 60 to 70% of the viewers who started watching it still watching by the kind of the conclusionary statement. And part of it is just an attention span thing. And part of it is that Austin Evans actually described it to me the best way that I think I've ever heard anyone describe it. He said, you want to make sure that no part of your video allows the viewer to smell blood in the water. And by blood in the water, he means that it's wrapping up, that the video is essentially over and there's no more pertinent information to convey. And when you
get that reaction, if I'm like, oh, it's over now, I'll just leave.
Yeah.
So that totally makes sense to me.
So if you were to say something like, in conclusion, the performance is great, but the pricing is a real problem here, so many people are just going to bail right as soon as you say, and in summary, in conclusion. With all of that out of the way, the bottom line is, as soon as you say those words, we try to avoid them. Sometimes we do it anyway, though, because we really do have an important point to make that makes the most sense in the conclusion. Because from our point of view, our role when we're evaluating a piece of technology is to evaluate it as a piece of technology. This video will go up today, but it will still be there a year, 2 years, 5 years from now, when the RTX 4080 might be one of the cards in just like a bargain bin of used cards at a local computer store, right? Like, we don't know what's coming down the line, especially with regards to pricing. And it's one of the reasons that we don't talk about it as much. Somewhere that we made a bad call was we're just kind of fatigued on complaining, whining about pricing. The bottom line is that, don't tune out. This is an important point. The bottom line is that it doesn't make a difference. And I've seen a lot of people kind of pushing back on that from me, or pushing back on me about that. No, Linus, it does make a difference. You have to use your position to advocate for lower pricing. But the thing is that, guys, I've been doing this a long time. It doesn't work. You can absolutely advocate for change, and we do, and we will. An example of a time...
Especially when there's an actual, flaw with the product itself.
Yeah, one of the things that
can often be quite effective.
Yeah, one of the things someone brought up to me was that I absolutely complained about the TeamViewer issue. But the issue there was that they were violating CAN spam. They were actually breaking the law by contacting me. That's a separate problem. I have leverage, okay? And so some people pointed out the seemingly contradictory stance, where we reviewed the card as the performance it was. We did comment on the pricing. We said it sucked, but we reviewed it as it was. And then I was turning around making memes about overpriced 40 series cards. And they're like, well, that's contradictory. And I'm sitting here going, no, you got to look at what I said. What I said was, until gamers stop buying NVIDIA cards at inflated prices, there is nothing I can do.
And just like with many other GPU launches, there was lineups outside the door for people waiting to buy this insanely overpriced product, and people bought it out and it sold out.
Yep. And the counter argument to that, I'm trying to play devil's advocate against myself here, right? Because I did read through a lot of your comments, and I get it. This situation sucks. But the counter argument to that, guys, is that we spent the entirety of the pandemic silicon shortage complaining about pricing, and people kept buying stuff anyway. So people would say, well, Linus, if you complained about the pricing, if you said it was bad, people might not buy it. And I wish I had that kind of power. I clearly don't, because
the gaming industry would probably be in a significantly better space with a lot less loot boxes and pay-to-win mechanics and other various junk.
The final argument that people made was, well, what about the 4080 12 gig? Okay? Media and consumers made a lot of noise about that, and NVIDIA did reverse course. To which I would say, guys, do you really think that was a W? What did they do? What did NVIDIA actually do?
Renamed it?
Yeah. They renamed it. That's not a win. We didn't win.
It's a bit of a win. It's a very small W.
It's not
it's
a win.
Lower than a lowercase W. It's a fine print W.
That's not a win. That's like them putting it in our mouth instead of all over our face. Nah. That's not a win. Now,
Oh, man.
it is still possible. It is still possible that NVIDIA will alter the pricing of the 4070 12 gig or whatever the devil they're going to end up calling it. That's possible. But if that happens, that is not in response to people complaining about it. That is in response to AMD's competitive pricing. The only thing that matters is, are the cards sitting on shelves? Actually, I lied. There was one more argument people made. They were saying that I was defending the higher pricing because NVIDIA has a lot of 30 series that they need to move. No, you're halfway there. You're halfway there. The higher pricing is because NVIDIA has a lot of 30 series they need to move, at least allegedly. But that has nothing to do with me. NVIDIA is beholden to their shareholders. They need to drive as much profit as possible in order to appease their shareholders. They want their stock to go from doing this, which is what it's been doing lately, to doing this. And the way to do that is to make more profit.
Yeah.
They don't make more profit by making me happy, by making me not complain. That's just not how it works, and I'm sorry. I wish it was.
I do think all these arguments are legit. I've had a big frustration for quite a while now.
For sure.
Consumers buying stuff that it's like where everyone knows the whole vote with your wallet thing, but instead of not buying things that they shouldn't, people are like voting with their wallet in the wrong way. It's like they walked into the wrong booth or something. I don't know. I don't get it. Everyone's like super mad about microtransactions and pay to win stuff, but then people buy it to insane degrees. Like Diablo Immortal, people were spending like as much money as they could in the game to be like, when does it break the game? It's like, just don't.
Exactly.
Just don't spend excessive money in the game. But we still should have brought it up a little bit earlier and a little bit harder.
Okay, Photon Pixie and Floatplane chat. I want to hear your argument for this. You say the naming was a huge part of the problem, so them changing the name is important. Why? How does that matter?
No, I do agree because it was misleading.
Misleading in what way? FPS per dollar is all that matters. We're not getting any more FPS per dollar if they just call it something else.
Yeah, but if you expect same performance but different RAM capacity, memory capacity, that isn't what you're getting.
Right.
And based on the naming scheme, that's what it...
That aspect of changing the name, absolutely. And that is something that we would have called out. And
that's why it's a little W.
And
it's
did
still
call
a W.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a W. That's a thing that should have never happened. So, okay, so I want to clarify. When I was talking like when I was saying whether it's a W or not, I meant in terms of what we're talking about, which is price to performance. So you're right. From a different point of view, from a consumer confusion point of view, absolutely that card should have been renamed. But we said that. Yeah. We did say that. We never took up a contrary position. And that card, the 4080 12 gig, never was released. So we never got a chance to review it and say, wow, this is awful and misleading. So all we have now is we have the 4080 16 gig, which we said, okay, here's what it is. It's not a great value. And then we've got this 4080 12 gig 4070 card that is exactly the same value that it was before. It just has a different name. Now, there was some, I think, very valid criticism of our 4080 coverage, and that's that perhaps we emphasized too much the performance of NVIDIA's top-tier last-generation cards, which are also not a great value. And that's very fair. That's totally fair. But let me at least provide an alternate perspective on that. The customer for a 4090, the customer for a 4080 12 gig at $1,200, okay, is not the same customer for a 3060 Ti. So while you are absolutely going to care, what card provides the best bang for the buck, that customer for that card doesn't care about it as much as you might probably think. That is one thing to consider. So when you're reviewing a product, you're not reviewing it in a vacuum. You're reviewing it in the context of what it's actually competing against. And a 4080 16 gig at $1,200 is not competing against a card that was $400 in the last generation. Another criticism was that we're not talking about AMD enough. Okay, we're going to get a chance. And I think that was an oversight on our part. We could have talked about AMD more, and that's going to happen. I'm personally super excited for the launch of the 7000, well, okay, this 7000 series from AMD. Not the HD 7000, the RX 7000 series. I'm very excited.
They're going to have to release their stuff for you to be able to talk about it more.
Yes.
So, I don't know. But yeah, could have been said a little bit earlier, could have been said a little bit stronger, but yeah, I think all the other points still stand.
So the bottom line here is, hey, don't tune out. The bottom line here is, you know what? I'm sorry. You know, we want to make sure that we're covering products in the way that you guys want to see. But I hope you understand why we did things the way that they did. And I hope you also understand how it's not constructive to, you know, launch into a conspiracy theory about how NVIDIA paid us to cover the card in a particular way, because that's not helpful, right? It doesn't serve any positive purpose to just make assumptions that have no basis in reality and start talking about that instead of trying to figure out what was actually going on. Because if we want to understand each other, then we all got to be kind of speaking the same language. So if you guys are saying, look, here's why I'm upset, then I can go, okay, I can fix that. Whereas if you say, Linus, you need to stop taking money from NVIDIA to give them a positive review, I'm kind of going, well, I can't fix that because it didn't happen in the first place. So we're not able to get aligned here, right? It's like walking into a car dealership and saying, I'll give you $10. And they're not even going to engage in conversation. You're not having a real discussion at that point, right? You know what's something that I feel like we haven't talked about enough, Luke?
What?
The fact that AMD's cards being priced at $900 to $1,000 is like not great either.
Oh yeah, no, I think we talked about that on WAN show when the pricing got leaked, about how like this is going to be seen as a win, but just like we've always said, just being an underdog doesn't mean you're the good guy. And like AMD is 100% taking advantage of the pricing hellscape that NVIDIA has set up to also increase theirs and moved their top end pricing and everything else along with it up quite a bit. $900 on the top end is a lot. It's a ton of money. And I hope AMD can compete there because I want there to be competition even regardless of the pricing increases. And it looks like AMD's new, just to go with the Nintendo naming, just put new in with RGB lines all around it. AMD's new 7000 series will do well, but it still doesn't mean that it's not priced really highly. Is performance really good? Theoretically, hopefully, sure.
I mean, we're optimistic.
Yeah, yikes. Yeah.
I mean, we against my better judgment, you know, we gave AMD every possible benefit of the doubt after the RX 7000 series announcement stream. Like, this is interesting. I just don't know what to do, right? Holgar69 in Twitch chat goes, you do not sound enthusiastic about RDNA 3 like actual gamers are. You are purposely avoiding and acting like it isn't coming. Did you watch the video? We took what AMD said at face value. We dug into their seemingly intentionally vague data, extracted as much useful information as we could, took it completely at face value, and then compared it against NVIDIA's best, and we were jacked about it. What can I possibly do other than that? How can you possibly come to that conclusion? I don't know what to do.
Problem. That's just a fanboy problem. There's nothing you can do about that.
I don't know, man. I am excited.
You're limited there.
I'm always excited for competition, which doesn't mean that every new entrant is necessarily going to be a valid option. Why don't we get into our next topic here? Luke and I have officially started the 30-day Intel Arc Challenge. That's right. It's happening.
Started late last night. I currently have 2 power supplies under my desk. Things are going.
You know what's the funny thing about it is 5 years ago, that wouldn't have even been a problem, but Luke and I both ran into physical installation issues with our cards because I couldn't find the modular cable bags for my power supplies for the 2 machines that I moved to Intel Arc. And the A750 and A770 both use an 8 and 6-pin power adapter, and both of us, in all the rigs we upgraded, were using dual 8-pin and not 6+2, like dual 8-pin connectors. And I was not going to go out and get a Dremel and freaking cut off 2 pins for a temporary ass GPU install. That was not going to happen. So, thankfully, I actually always carry an ATX depinning tool with me. It is literally always in my backpack. So I was like, I have the solution.
Now's the time.
My emergency tech drawer had a dual Molex to 6-pin PCIe adapter, so I depinned that, took the sacrificial connector, depinned my power supply, put all the pins in, and I'm ready to go. I just got the extra 2 just hanging out in their 8-pin for when I put it back together and hopefully don't destroy it. And then Luke, I love Luke's solution.
The Dremel option. I very strongly considered it. I was literally staring at my cable and being like, I could do this. This would be fine. But then I was like, nah, because it's going to permanently scar it. I don't have the other cables for this. So yeah, I went down to the garage, found this like ancient but awesome power supply.
Antec signature. Yeah, definitely stolen from work.
Oh yeah, like
100%.
Hardcore.
Actually, though,
a long time ago. It's probably one of my like oldest stolen from work things that I have. Dusted it off because that was actually a problem. Because it's been sitting in a garage for many years. But yeah, jumpered the 24-pin, put it in the 4, put it in the 5, and now I have to turn my computer on like a plane because I have to turn the power supply on for the graphics card. That gets going. And then I have to turn the computer on. So I have like a starter motor and then I actually turn the computer on, which I find genuinely entertaining. So I think I'm just going to leave it this way for like the whole month.
Oh, no. You're going to kick it. Not? You're going to kick it at some point. 100%.
I have it. So the 24-pin with the bridging connector is just resting in the ARC box right now.
Okay.
But I'm going to like tape it in there. And then like manage the power supply back there. But I think I'm actually going to leave it because at some point when we did the last upgrade to this system, the extra cables went missing in some part of that process.
Right.
So I don't have a 6-pin for it. I could go find. It's just a Seasonic power supply.
Yeah, and it's cable mod.
I could find. Yeah,
they'd send you one.
Buy one, sure. But like, do I need them to send me a single cable so I can run it for like by the time it gets here like 2 weeks? Like I don't know. Probably not. So yeah, as long as I can make it manageable so my girlfriend won't kill me, I'll probably just leave it as is. Shoot a picture of that. Oh, it'll be in the video. You'll see it.
Oh, it'll be in the video. Sure. There's going to be a lot of stuff in the video. I am not going to lie. It was one disappointment after another for me. Like I will accept I will accept my portion of the blame here, okay?
Oh man.
I should have had my modular cables. All right?
Yeah,
I should have.
Those installation problems are honestly not on ARC.
Yeah, that is
entirely on us.
Those are not on Intel. I should have checked the product page to see if they made any mention of VR before I put one in my VR gaming PC.
This
don't.
One's rough. Yeah.
Those of you who watched the WAN show where we came up with the idea of the Intel Arc Challenge will remember that I got called out. Okay, during the Linux Challenge, I only switched my daily driver gaming PC over to Linux. I left the VR gaming rig that I have in my living room on Windows because VR on Linux is pretty much not a thing. And I use my VR rig for exercise. Like I play Beat Saber for cardio. And don't laugh, it is good. It's actually really good exercise. And so this time around, I got specifically called out by many members of our community, and I think Luke as well, for doing that last time. And they basically said, look, it's not the ARC challenge unless you go ARC all the way. So the living room PC and your gaming rig, they have to be ARC. And I go, sure. So after fighting with BIOS updates, getting resizable bar enabled, switching my boot partition from MBR to GPT so that I could UEFI boot, and finally loading up Steam VR. Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say I sent a little DM over to one of my contacts at Intel and I went, if you guys want part 2 of this video to include, but hey, don't worry, they fixed it. You got 30 days. to fix it.
Such a spooky message. I got a reach out from someone on that team being like, is there anything else?
Did you really?
I'm not going to say who. They're a good person though. But yeah, it's been so I think I actually might have a solution for your VR thing.
Really?
Yeah. So because the problem with the Linux challenge was that you sort of, in a way, used your VR rig as a way to, not engage with the Linux system pretty much at all until the last week.
I just didn't feel like gaming. It was such a chore. Oh.
Except
when
VR,
I was playing Beat Saber, because just grab and go.
So, how about?
Sure.
I don't think completely cut it. So cutting you off of VR for the month is honestly part of the ARC challenge, but
okay, thanks.
But it seems a little unreasonable. So I think not being able to do it for like a week or two, so you can feel the pain a little bit, because that's part of it.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay.
But then after that, I think you should be able to switch back. But the amount of time that you spend playing VR has to be mirrored with playing games on your ARC system.
Okay. You know what?
If you spend an hour playing Beat Saber, you have to spend an hour on your ARC system.
No, I'm going full in. I want Intel to fix ARC. So that's it. I will not use VR during this 30 days unless Intel fixes it. It's just, man, I'm frustrated. Yeah. And then Luke, okay, so right. As a follow-up, Luke and I both did our installs yesterday, and the stream, I think the stream archive is actually, if it's not up on Floatplane, then we'll get that fixed. We'll get it published on Floatplane. But Luke and I actually streamed for about an hour and a half trying to play games, and we played, I think, 5 or 6 games, and we had, not gonna lie, we had some challenges with all of them. Day 1 did not go well. And I don't know how hopeful I am for how much it's going to improve over the next 30 days. You guys are going to want to watch the videos, though, because there's a lot more detail.
I'm actually pretty hopeful. I think it's going to improve. And I'm saying that seriously.
There's only one direction it can go, Luke.
That's part of the reason why.
I know. I know.
But no, because a lot of what we were doing had to do with streaming, right? We were trying to do remote play together. You were trying to stream off of the card.
Yes.
But like when I was playing,
I'm working on a review of the Logitech G Cloud. So video encoding is actually as important as gaming performance for me right now.
Yep. So encoding was a problem. It was a big problem. Consistent, big problem. But like when I was streaming off of my CPU and we were playing Halo, it was fine. When you were not encoding Untitled Goose Game and we were playing with your ARC and we were playing remote play, it was fine. So for like super normie level gaming, no VR, no encoding, etc., I think it's going to be fine, and I think that's probably going to be a pretty significant amount of the month. So I think the hill is up from here. But
it's an uphill battle, that's for sure. I'm not sure if that's what you meant there, but I like it. We've got a comment in Floatplane. I actually missed who it was, but basically asked what the LTTStore deals of the week are. Guys, if you want to leave a merch message, remember, don't leave super chats or Twitch bits or highlighted chats or whatever else. It's all about the merch messages. Over on LTTStore, you can, in the checkout, see a little box. It says merch messages. You can fill that out. Luke, there's a stipulation. If you use, like, what is it? Autocomplete?
Shop Pay.
If you use Shop Pay, it won't show up. So you got to watch out for that. That's not our fault. There's nothing we can do about that. But anything other than Shop Pay will work. However, we don't really have any deals to call out this week because this is sort of related to our next topic. You guys probably noticed we've had some challenges with respect to customer support response times again. We've gotten a huge influx of tickets as screwdriver shipments have started going out. And it's a combination of things. One is that the more orders you are generating, and we're coming into the holiday season, so there's a lot of orders coming in, the more customer support tickets you get, and it's just it's just a numbers game. It's not necessarily because you're doing anything wrong. It just happens. I'm moving, or I'm unexpectedly not going to be home. Can you delay my shipment or ship it here instead? Just little things like that, right? The other thing is the more shipments you're shipping out, the more customer support tickets you are going to get. Oh, hey, it's got held by customs. Can you help me? Just all those kinds of things. It's nobody's fault. It just happens. And the third thing is that sometimes you, when you have a really enthusiastic community that is posting on Reddit and posting on the forum when their stuff arrives, like, I got my black shaft screwdriver. Whoa! That generates a lot of, hey, someone else got it. Where's mine? So we are getting a lot of tickets right now. We've also done a few things wrong, and I want to acknowledge that. So in order to optimize our sorting and shipping, the team has apparently been pre-printing labels too far out ahead. So they're thinking that they could get things shipped quite quickly. They've been pre-printing some labels that have sat for, in some cases, a few days, like 3 or 4 days, or even up to a week. And when someone gets a notification that the label's created, their assumption is it's moving. And that hasn't always been the case. So we've asked them to not, even if it does cost them some, right? It's a balancing act, right? On the one hand, you want to optimize your output. You want to ship as many things as possible because that's ultimately the best way to not have people yelling at you. But on the other hand, you don't want to create the wrong expectations from people where they think something's shipped and it's not. So that's right. You're just going to have to find the right balancing point. The other issue is that,
but we'll deal with it offline.
The other issue is it's mid-November. So shipping volumes are going way up. The shipping industry has been notoriously understaffed this year already as it was. And so partners, so we use Wizmo, which is a consolidation service that allows us to make our shipping rates as competitive as they are. There have been some delays in breaking down pallets. And to be clear, I'm not blaming them. It just is what happens when volumes go up. And then that combined with just generally shipping volumes being really high, I think has created a perfect storm of longer responses. So my answer to your question, do we have any deals on the store this week, is no. We do not have any deals on the store because what we want to do is give our freshly beefed up customer support team, which now has twice as many members, and we're hiring another 50% more. So by the time we're done, we'll have triple the customer support team. Want to give them a little bit of time to catch up. We want to give the shipping team a little bit of time to catch up. Let's get all of those labels that they've already printed going out the door. And if you guys want to send in a merch message, what I'm going to recommend is go ahead and pick up a gift card or something like that. So you can get a merch message on a gift card. And who knows, with Black Friday coming up, maybe you'll have an opportunity to use it.
On something that's on sale.
Yeah. One thing that won't be on sale is the retro polar fleece that we just launched today. Did you see this thing?
Looks awesome. Yeah, I'm totally down.
It's delightfully great. 90s. It's a little too warm in here for me to wear it, but how fun is that design? I absolutely love it.
At the Brandon picture.
I'm going to have to find the Brandon picture. I have seen him
with his tiny baby, but this picture was the thing that convinced me most that he's a dad.
I know, right? Got the coffee cup.
Wow. Yeah, these pictures are great. It looks comfy. It looks classic. Makes sense.
Going for a very 90s inspired look. I'm super happy with how this one turned out.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, it screams 90s. Thank you, chat. 100%. All right, so that's it for all the things that I have to talk about bad news. Why don't we talk about some good news? Is there any good news in here this week? Oh, crap. There's no good news? Yep, it's all bad news. All right, Luke, want to pick some bad news?
I think the Twitter stuff is good news.
It's good news. Okay.
I think so.
I'll allow it. Defend yourself. Defend your stance here.
I think entertainment's good. What do you mean? Come on. It's been so fun. You can't say it hasn't been fun. No one can say it hasn't been fun. It's been so entertaining.
I think some of Twitter's staff could probably argue that this hasn't been fun.
Okay. That's probably fair. That's probably fair. I think they're going to be fine. I've taken this case before. I know it's a lot. A lot of companies are firing right now. I also know that a lot of companies are hiring right now, and I know that scouting is still active. So I know this doesn't solve the problem. Losing your job freaking sucks, even if lots of people are offering you one. But I do hope that people don't get too discouraged by it and don't lose hope. And honestly, it doesn't look like they really are. I don't think they seem to mind too much.
They seem to be memeing
there,
right back to the meme king of Twitter. Yeah.
This is a strong. A lot of them are resigning more than anything.
Yeah.
And taking that severance. If I remember correctly, it's 3 months or something. Pretty good. I'm rather certain that skilled developers and other staff at Twitter are going to be able to land fantastic jobs within a 3-month window.
Nobody's hiring. But then again, periods like this tend to be periods of startup explosion. Because all of a sudden, startups can afford fucking talent again for a change. Like
the people that worked at this company that know the people that they liked working with and were good at their jobs, whatever it was.
They're going to go start stuff up.
Pockets of people, and they're going to start stuff up.
And so they've got some severance to do it with.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt.
Severance to do it
doesn't hurt.
A lot of people at Twitter had really fantastic total compensation packages and are probably doing pretty well. You might want to move out of the Bay Area to make that money go a little bit further. But I think people are pretty well set up to have some time to find somewhere new to work or to start something up with some friends or do whatever they need. Also, the no one's hiring thing is not true.
We're hiring.
We're hiring. Other places are hiring. There's the Twitters of the world are not hiring right now.
Holy shit.
Your total comp might go down. What?
Have you seen how many positions we're hiring? I was like memeing a little bit, but we are hiring.
We're hiring.
Okay, we'll have to talk about that in a minute. Sorry, Luke, go on.
But yeah, your total comp might go down. You're gonna be okay, and you might be able to work on something less soul sucking. So maybe that'll be good. Or if you're just totally, your total comp isn't gonna go down, and you'll just go somewhere and be awesome anyways. I don't know, but I think people are gonna be okay. And I am enjoying the entertainment, often served up by now ex-Twitter employees, because man, they have been
spicy.
Yeah, ready to go to town. It's been really entertaining. I'm not surprised. Every time that Elon tweets out like total active users is higher than ever, I'm like, yeah, this makes sense, because I've honestly never been on Twitter more than I am right now.
Yeah,
because watching the world burn is just so great. It's nice and warm. It's cozy. Grab some popcorn. Have a good time.
So do you want to walk us kind of through it this week in Twitter? Oh wait, I think Twit is already taken. There's a different tech show that calls themselves that. Okay, we're gonna have to go with something else. This last 7 days in Twitter, TLSDIT.
I think doing a summary of this that isn't like half a day long is going to be ineffective. We'll do what we can.
Okay,
but yeah, it's been wild.
Start with Sunday.
Twitter blue. Yeah. Okay. Sunday. Twitter employees. Corrects Elon on Twitter. Which one was this? Because there was multiple.
This was Eric Frohnhofer. Forgive my pronunciation.
This was the most talked about one, as far as I know.
Yeah.
He was corrected by this guy, and then someone's like, "Oh, this person should be fired," and then Elon responded with, "They have been let go," or whatever.
That tweet is gone.
Oh.
Shut up. I wonder if it was, maybe legal exposure to fire people for tweeting. Like, I
wouldn't be surprised.
Do you know how
there's got to be some form of problem with that?
I mean, I can talk for ages about the challenges around dismissing employees. It is not as simple as especially if you're not in an at-will location. So I don't know if our non-American friends might not be familiar with the term at will. At will employment means that an employer can just terminate you from your job, no notice, nothing. But that doesn't exist in most of the world, as far as I can tell. Actually, I shouldn't say most of the world, because by population, most of the world probably is an at-will employment place. But certainly not most of the Western world. So like in Canada, for example, you can't just fire someone. You have to follow procedures. You have to pay severance. You have to make sure that all the loose ends are tied up. And if they believe that they have been wrongfully dismissed, like, for example, due to discrimination, then they can absolutely turn around and litigate, right? And if there is anywhere that wrongful termination suits are going to happen, it is in the good old US of California, okay? Or the United California of America, whatever California's country is going to be called when it eventually secedes.
One of my favorite things to point out now that you said that, California has more people than all of Canada. Boom, let's keep going.
Yeah, I know, right? When I found that out, I was like, what? I know. So that's hilarious. Like the amount of legal jeopardy that Elon seems to be putting himself in throughout this entire process.
I was just going to say, I've not just with firing employees.
No,
compliance
I
issues
know.
Just literally everywhere in the world.
I know. And I've had multiple people tell me, no, this is a 4D chess game. It's 4D chess. He's tanking it for some reason. There's a reason. And I'm sitting here going, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think it was 4D chess. I think the reason why he committed to buying it was like ego issues. I don't think that was 4D chess. I do think he has a plan. I'm not necessarily saying it's like a good one or it's going to work or anything like that. But I think people going with the angle of like he knows absolutely nothing. He's just a complete idiot, and he has no plan. I don't think that's accurate. I think he has a plan.
Apparently, California is at will.
Whoa!
I did not know that. How do these things work then? So I guess it's at will, but you can still, because absolutely there are suits. So
we also don't even necessarily know where this person was from. There's Twitter employees all over the world.
That's true.
Last WAN show. Was it last WAN show?
Might have been.
I think so. When I was in Serbia. When I got on that plane, after I hung up, there was a Twitter employee getting on the plane.
Oh, not going back to work, I don't think.
I didn't even tell you about this. They were wearing a Twitter official backpack, and I was like, whoa. And they're like, yeah, don't know if I'm going to have a job soon, so going home.
Oh, man.
Didn't have a long conversation, but thought it was pretty interesting. But yeah, there's problems because there's people all over the world. Like there's huge termination issues with, if I remember correctly, it was Ireland. How he terminated a bunch of people there was like totally not okay. I don't remember. This is not in our notes, but
okay. California is at will, but there are retaliation protections, layoff notifications, discrimination protections, etc., that need to be followed. So I guess I misunderstood at will. I understood at will.
Protection.
Yeah, I understood at will to mean basically that you have no protection whatsoever. You definitely, it sounds like, have at least some protection. You can't just be terminated for like having a particular color of skin then, or whatever the case may be. All right. Yeah, there's technically at will, but there's always exceptions. People are clarifying. I mean, that's the thing about America. It's so, because it's, as far as I can tell, basically like over 50 little tiny countries, all with their own special rules, but like then they're like combined somehow, and it's not quite clear exactly how. Like, let me tell you guys, tax compliance in the US as a foreign entity is a nightmare. As far as I can tell, the way that other companies are doing it is they just aren't doing it. Like at our scale, they just aren't bothering.
That's including American companies. You said as a foreign company, it's still a nightmare for local American companies. And a lot of them just don't do it until states or counties or whatever get mad at them about it. And then they...
Giving the birds a talking to.
Yeah, they're getting too into it. They enjoy the conversation. But okay, we're still on Sunday.
Sunday.
We're still on Sunday. Monday and Tuesday, more Twitter shenanigans. They delay Blue until the end of the month.
Yeah, the
relaunch. The whole thing just goes away. You can't do it anymore. The whole conversation from the previous week just gone, completely gone.
Does someone have a
I
live?
think they figured out.
Does someone have a live stream of a head of lettuce that they started the day that Elon took over Twitter? Like, is that happening?
Yeah,
I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it
with whoever the Prime Minister of the UK was, and then the lettuce won, which was pretty epic. But yeah, so Blue's gone. The whole thing everyone was talking about is over. I suspect that's probably because, they cost multiple companies billions of dollars. It's a minor issue. There's a bunch of Slack channel problems. Apparently, a bunch of the engineers that came over from some of Elon's other companies are used to using Teams. And I guess in Teams, newly created channels are private by default. This whole thing, someone was writing this and I was like, this is weird because it's very obvious when you're creating Slack channels if they're public or not. But,
right.
Yeah, apparently they use Teams. They're private by default. So they created Slack channels and they were public and other people joined them and were able to see what they were talking about. And they were talking trash about like a bunch of employees and talking about who they were going to fire and stuff like that.
Oh,
so that was apparently just like a huge nightmare. They privatized the channels afterwards. They did all this stuff, but like people had the transcripts of everything that was in there, and it was like rough.
Yeah. And I only learned about the site Blind recently. I didn't have any reason to have. You don't know Blind? Okay, it's actually a super cool concept. It's a social network. Yeah, it's a social network that's for professionals. It's kind of like LinkedIn, except they validate that you actually work wherever you say that you work, and only other people who work there can contact you, and the whole thing's anonymous. So it's an opportunity for people to compare salaries or talk about workplace discrimination or, exchange information like what you're talking about. So screenshots like this are going to be spreading like absolute wildfire in Blind, completely behind the scenes, inaccessible to anyone who doesn't actually work at Twitter. And they do periodic validation. So they'll send an email to your work email. Hey, do you still actually work there? And then they'll cut you off of it if you don't actually work there. So they discourage you from sharing any identifying information. It's a super cool concept. And so as far as I can tell, Blind has been experiencing an absolute surge in popularity and just has this enormous profile compared to what it had before because of how public and how explosive this meltdown has been.
Really funny that Twitter on Blind is rated more highly currently than Amazon and Intel.
Well, there's still time for that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's deteriorating. Sorry. But yeah, so Twitter Blue goes down. Elon tells managers to scrape Slack channels for criticism. And then I have heard that after that, people who criticized him were fired. One of the problems with a lot of this stuff,
it's all hearsay.
A lot of it, including this one, is there's hearsay all over the place. And what I have found with a ton of this, and I want to add allegedlys to before I started talking, add allegedlys to after, and add them all the way through. Because what I have found many, many, many times with stories coming out of Twitter is that things are partially true. Things are only partially true.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the remote work stuff. It's that sort of happened. He did call people back into work, but it wasn't quite exactly the way people were describing it. It wasn't everyone, no matter what, always, blah, blah, blah. We especially heard this about, I think it was Dublin, because people figured out that there like literally was not enough currently vacant housing in Dublin to fill the amount of people that he called in. But then it was clarified, like, that's not what happened.
Right.
It was like, if you have the ability to, you need to. But if you don't have the ability to, then it's not expected. Like, that's totally different than you have to no matter what. So it's like, I don't know. Things are still happening. They're very drastic, but they're not potentially, sometimes they are exactly as drastic as they seem, right? He publicly fired someone on Twitter. That happened. We saw that happen.
Yep.
we have facts for that, right? But not everything is quite that cut and dry. But yeah, theoretically, allegedly, he told managers to scrape Slack channels for criticism and to fire those people. Elon may actually manage to improve Twitter in one way at least, end-to-end encryption. Okay, I didn't actually know this. End-to-end encryption. For
Yeah,
DMs,
for DMs.
maybe for DMs.
Yeah,
okay,
apparently
well,
they're
that's
working
cool.
on that, so that's cool. That's good. We
That's a
gotta.
feature
Hey, we
they
gotta talk
should
about
have
the
already
good
had.
and
That
the
is cool.
bad. If
And this is a good source. Jane is a good source, I will say. I didn't know that was from Jane. That's cool.
my favorite of the week though was the Thursday ultimatum, Twitter 2.0, asking Twitter staff to work long hours at high intensity and be, and I quote, extremely hardcore or leave. Apparently, this ultimatum was refused by hundreds of the remaining 2,900 employees on Thursday.
If I remember correctly, the original number was 7,200. That's a lot less.
That's a lot less. Many employees told reporters that with so many people leaving, they expect the platform to, quote, start breaking soon, end quote, leading to yet another round of everyone on Twitter saying they're leaving Twitter and then staying.
That sounds about accurate. We also had a lot of stuff. We had people saying like, oh, Twitter's going to break in 2 days when Elon first bought it and stuff like that. I think it's going to take a little bit longer because the infrastructure systems are probably built decently well. Who knows? Some improperly managed system is going to fill a hard drive and things are going to break, or something random's going to happen. It's not going to get managed properly. Or it might just not. I don't know. I've said for a long time, well before we thought Elon might be buying Twitter, that they have far too many people on staff.
Yep. And
both things can be true. He can be firing too many people.
Or the
there
wrong
could be far
people.
too many people on staff.
Yep.
And he could be firing the wrong people. Absolutely. That
Yep.
could totally be a problem. The way he's lowering his staff counts are far from perfect. And I'm not defending those.
If I was a
do think
superstar developer, Luke, I would be out of there. Like there is
gone, of course.
Absolutely no way.
There's two paths, right? There's either you're gone, or you take this opportunity to vie for just extreme position and extreme total compensation. You do one of the two, right? Because you either need your total compensation to like double and your position to just become like something wild that's going to be really insane on your resume, or you need to get out of there and get somewhere else. If you think that it can make it, taking this opportunity to vie for position could be good. That's quite the bet. And you might kind of not look that bright if you ride it all the way through to the end. So that's genuinely quite the bet. But yeah, I don't know.
What I know is it's time to tell you about our sponsors for the WAN show.
We do have more Twitter stuff to go over. Should we finish that really quick?
I mean,
okay. He locked everyone out of the office by completely getting rid of their whole badge system.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Everyone thought the website was going to disappear last night. It didn't. It's going to be more fun. I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. The show is brought to you by OVHcloud. Ransomware and other cyber attacks are the enemy of today's data-driven organization. An FBI center that collects cybercrime complaints said it received over 845,000 reports last year, with estimated potential losses totaling $7 billion. Strengthen your disaster recovery capabilities with OVHcloud, built on a VMware vSphere environment to help ensure your business-critical data is available at all times and in multiple locations. OVHcloud owns its network, so there are no hidden fees, no ingress or egress fees except for object storage, or charges for API calls. Their proprietary networking technology, VRAC, enables networking of multiple OVHcloud servers from any OVHcloud data center over private VLANs, allowing secure data transfers and an increase in speed compared to the public internet. And your workloads are interoperable by design and give you the opportunity to move them anywhere, either within OVHcloud or to other locations or clouds. Don't wait. Start your cloud journey today and get Zerto Disaster Recovery by OVHcloud for free for 30 days at the link down below. We've used OVHcloud I don't know about OVHcloud, but we've certainly used OVH quite extensively in the last 10 years. And
both OVHcloud as well.
Yep. And we will continue to do so. So if you want to use what we use, OVH is a good place to start. The show is also brought to you by Vessi Footwear. If you wanna use what we use, it's a good place to start. Vessi Footwear is known for offering lightweight, easy to pack sneakers, and they use so we've had some discussions with Vessi about this particular talking point. They say waterproof. I say nothing is waterproof. They say, by the standards by which waterproof garments are measured, it's waterproof, to which I say, okay, fair enough. So we've made a slight tweak to our wording, and that's going to be that Vessi says are waterproof, and which I say, water defeats all. Water literally cuts canyons into the earth. Nothing is waterproof. It's not a word that I like, but okay. Vessi, you say it's waterproof. Fine. The point is, it's a lightweight, breathable material that keeps you warm in the winter and cool in the summer. And with Vessi, you can simplify deciding which shoes to wear because it just doesn't matter. Is it going to be rain or shine or hot or cold? Your Vessis are good to go. They're also super easy to put on and take off, and they're made from cruelty-free products right down to the glue. Vessi is currently giving away 100 pairs of free socks to the first people to use code SOCKSWANSHOW at the link down below. So check out their early Black Friday sale at vessi.com/WANSHOW. I'm crying. This is hilarious. Okay, look, it's a thing. We had a conversation about it, and we and Vessi were good.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just responding on Flowplay, not you.
Okay, all right.
We're fine.
Okay, all right. Everything's good. It's just that water.
One last thing I want to throw in about Twitter.
Yeah.
Is there's people working there that are on visas, and their visa requires them to have employment, and they have been suddenly let go, and the visa doesn't care that you have a 3-month severance. The visa starts ticking right away. So if you are hiring in the tech industry, there's some people that are going to be eager to fill positions.
Yeah.
And try to be quick, because their lives are going to be
very uprooted.
Yeah. That is the main blow from all of this, in my opinion. But
the bird was eating out of your mouth? I missed that.
No, I have literally no idea what that person is talking about. That has never happened. That is super weird.
That's not.
No idea.
I mean, okay, I'll agree that you feel that that's weird. This is like the Vessi situation. Okay, I'll agree that Luke feels that it's weird, but I have personally watched my.
Do you not find that weird?
I've watched my aunt feed her bird out of her mouth like thousands of times, so it just doesn't faze me anymore. She would just like nibble a little piece of fruit and then just go like this, and her bird would be like, "Yep," and take it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's not something I'm
not
into.
As bad.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not like
that's better than I thought.
And then like it's
I thought
not
it was like
that.
holding seed in your mouth, be like, okay, like what the heck?
No, nobody's talking about that. Finally,
yeah, I don't know.
The show is brought to you by 45 Drives. 45 Drives is an open source, open platform, fully supported storage solution. Don't spend your entire budget on storage infrastructure. Their offerings won't just store your data, but save you money and headache. You can scale one drive at a time or add servers into your system as needed. They offer a by-the-minute approach to technical support with no rounding up to the nearest hour if you only need, say, 37 minutes of assistance. And they're always there to help. To learn more about 45 Drives custom storage solutions, check out the link in the video description. We're big fans of having our storage on site in our own control, and 45 Drives is just a great way to do that. We're going to have them linked down below. Now, I actually need to bail pretty quickly today because I am heading off to a pretty fun little event that I'm going to. I think I have to go like very, very shortly. But if there's maybe one more topic that we want to talk about, man, there's so much. We never talked about the FTX debacle. Like, we haven't talked about that on WAN Show. How's that even possible?
That's nuts. We didn't talk about Pokémon, which I actually have, completely regardless of it being Pokémon, strong opinions on. We didn't talk about Doom Eternal soundtrack allegations.
We didn't talk about that we're hiring like 15 positions. I'm going to run through that really quick. You can check out linusmediagroup.com for more details. But for Linus Media Group, we're hiring a social media manager, a video editor / camera operator, a production assistant, a writer / video producer. Whoop, this just moved. An affiliate and sales coordinator, a bookkeeper, and a writer / video producer focused on Apple. So that would be for Mac address. For Creator Warehouse, we are hiring a customer service supervisor, a customer service representative. This is a 3-month contract, this one. Everything else is full-time, permanent position. An electronics engineer / product designer, a fit technician. And then for Flowplane, we're hiring a junior backend developer.
These are paused.
Oh, they're paused. Oh, okay.
The Flowplane ones are paused. We're still collecting resumes, and they're going to resume sometime in the new year.
Okay.
They're paused right now because we just onboarded like 7 people.
Ugh, okay, cool. What
Somewhere
about
around
the
there.
float
So we
planes?
want to get the team good, and then we're gonna.
What about the float plane / labs one?
Those are the same thing.
Okay, same thing. Okay, I won't say any of that then. Okay, cool. Oh no. Someone's filling out Riley is filling out the FTX debacle in real time. Oh, is he here? Does Riley want to just come join the show with you maybe? Because I think he actually prepped almost all of the topics this week. He says if you ignore the rest, just open this one. Oh no. People who are still holding digital assets on centralized exchanges right now, why? Even if Bitcoin moons to $1 million or something, it means nothing if the exchange you're using goes belly up and your funds get hacked overnight.
That happened to me. That happened to me many years ago. I was on.
In fairness to you,
Quadriga CX.
Yeah, this wasn't as big of a thing yet, but what'd you lose?
This was a long time ago. Yeah, and Quadriga CX, the founder, mysteriously died in an Indian town famous for faking people's deaths. That's weird. Wonder why he was there. And the entire exchange's funds just vanished. And that was my you know what? I'm done. I'm out. I had purchased hardware wallets. I was even going the right safe way. They had very, very recently shown up, and I hadn't moved it over yet. And then it was just gone. And that was my exit. I was done with crypto at that point. I had a bunch of people in the crypto space when they heard about that be like, "Yeah, you're just dumb." And I was like, "All right, sounds good. I'm out."
Sorry.
Fair enough.
Sorry
You're not wrong,
for.
but I will leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me just see if there's a Doom Eternal. Oh man, there's so much. You know what? I think I just have to go. I'm going to this exhibition, and I'll wait until.
Do you want me to try to tackle some of these topics, or do you want me to do merch messages, or do you want the show to just end?
That's what I'll do. I'll do a couple of merch messages now before I go, and then I think I'm trying to get in touch with Riley. Dan, actually, do you want to see if you can get Riley down here? Maybe he and Luke can close out the show.
I shot him a message, but I can go
give him a call. Yeah, give him a call, or I'll just read through some of the curated merch messages.
Okay, back in a sec.
Mitchell O says, "Hey, Luke, a few weeks ago on WAN Show, you said you were into scuba diving. Do you use a dive computer? If so, which one?" There's no way he uses a dive computer. Dive computers cost money.
I actually tend to use dive computers, but I don't own one. When I go diving, I usually ask the shop if I can borrow one, and usually they're down, which is nice. It's smart. I was diving extremely recently. I got 2 certifications. I got my advanced and I got my rec diver certification. And the guy that I did it with would not stop talking about how I needed to buy a diving computer. I do not want to, but we'll see.
It depends how much you dive. If you only dive when you vacation and you always have a certified dive master with you who's knows the location really well, what are you using your dive computer for? If you're lost, you surface. It's that simple.
Patty Education would tell you that you should have them anyways and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I'm going right now, my pattern, COVID did cause a lot of this, but my pattern is once every 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
So at that rate, it's nah. Even if they made me pay for it, which no one has so far, I can usually just borrow one from the shop that I'm diving with.
Yeah.
And I'm never just going by myself at home. So
yeah. Diving in the lower mainland sucks. It's cold and you can't really see anything.
We brought someone on. I won't say exactly where they're from, but they are local, as in they are from this province. And they are super, super into diving. They're on the lab's web dev team. I won't say their name either, just because they're very new. But they're really, really into diving. And they have some cool spots that are local-ish, but I don't think it's lower mainland. I don't think he's diving in the Fraser River or anything. That'd be gross.
Got a good question from Jonas. No, I don't think this is a dumb question, Jonas. With graphics cards getting bigger and physically taking up 2 PCIe slots, could there be any advantage to building a graphics card with 2 PCIe connections to the motherboard? Greetings from Germany. Couple reasons that you wouldn't want to do that is, one, you would double the bandwidth to the GPU, but you would also dramatically increase the complexity of the PCI Express interface that you have to build into the GPU. That's why they keep doubling the bandwidth of PCIe. That's why each generation we're trying to push the signals faster rather than just going wider. Because every pin on the slot, you got to think about it this way. Every signal pin on the slot has to have a corresponding signal pin somewhere on whatever processor it will ultimately connect to, right? So if you had 32 lanes of PCIe, and to be clear, longer slots actually do exist. PCIe 16 is not the widest PCIe connection that you can get. I guess, yeah, I don't know if there's a spec limit. Anyway, the point is 16 is not the maximum. But for every one of those connections, like it has to terminate somewhere, right? Like these are essentially wires that have to go somewhere. So you're adding a lot of just even physical complexity to whatever die is on the other side. So if you had a PCIe by 32 connection, like, man, would that ever be a complex chip? Wouldn't it be better to just go Gen 5 if you needed to double your bandwidth? So that's what we've done. We've gone from Gen 1, 2, 3, 4 to 5, which has resulted in a 2, 4, 8, 6, 32x increase in overall bandwidth to the slot, which has been fine. Okay, I'll do just a couple more, and then I guess Yvonne and I need to head out. Yes, she hasn't messaged me yet. Anonymous asks, can we get a banana for scale with catnip? I don't think we have plans to do that anytime soon, but you could always stuff catnip inside your banana for scale, and your cat would probably love that. Okay, I think Riley's going to take over for me at this point. Yeah. Riley, you haven't...
Awesome.
I can't stay forever, but...
Yeah, no, that's fine. You haven't been on WAN Show set in, I think, a minute.
Yeah.
So can I just orient you real quick here?
Oh, yeah.
He does. They're just movies.
Controls.
Yeah, but I haven't shown him like how merge messages works and stuff like that.
Speed?
To warp speed. Well, no, it's ludicrous speed then plaid, I think, is how everything works.
I didn't know we had upgraded to that.
Okay, so I've got the doc over here, got the chats that matter over here. Don't worry about YouTube chat. Nobody looks at that.
I know all about that.
This tab is the merch messages. So if Dan has one that's not like it's a potential, then you can check it and see if you guys want to do it. And I guess that's pretty much it. All right. See you later.
See you later. Good luck at your event, Linus.
Yeah, thank you. It's going to be fun.
It better be. Or else, what am I here for? Hi, Luke. Wait, why can't I hear Luke? Am I not supposed to hear Luke? I'm just supposed to talk over him the whole time.
I don't think he's talking.
This is the right. He was talking. I
Luke.
saw his lips moving.
Luke, stop it.
Your lips are moving. Is this the wrong headset? No, you were. It's warm.
Is
It's
he
warm.
trolling?
I feel Linus's sweat on my head.
Is he trolling?
Am I trolling? I'm not trolling.
Luke,
I think Luke's trolling.
Luke, stop it.
Luke,
Stop it. You're so mean to
this
us.
isn't.
Your mic is muted,
We're a
Luke.
professional company that does
Luke,
shows like
unmute your
just like
microphone.
this one.
Do you see the mute button?
Wait, oh yeah.
As soon as-
in ping.
What?
Yeah, or he's muted. Yeah,
He's-
Luke, you are muted. For
He
real.
is muted.
No, you are.
They're saying you're muted.
I can see the icon in the chat app.
Why has this gone wrong?
As soon as I heard
Riley!
As soon as I heard Linus say, "Oh, Riley could come and be on the WAN show," I'm like, "You don't want that. You do not want this. Something will break."
Oh no.
You don't want me reviewing graphics cards, and you don't want me stepping in. I'm trying to see if my...
Testing.
Hey, there he is.
Hey. Hi, Luke.
He figured it
I
out.
think a magical little pixie in the internet just came and fixed that for us.
So you run a video platform?
I did not mute myself, to be clear. There was something wrong. I was trying to talk to you guys in the chat. And as per usual with WAN Show, whenever there's a technical issue where we can't hear each other, no one tries to read anything that's typed anywhere, which
had it
caused some
open on
pretty
ping.
serious problems.
That's why I didn't come down right away, because
You
I
have
didn't
bars
read the messages.
above you now, which is very strange.
Oh, cinematic mode.
Yeah.
I noticed that. So something happened around the time of the Linus and Riley change. The bars came in and other problems came in. I think. Yeah, I don't know. Were
But
you
it's
the
all-
one that
Huh?
spam muted me, by the way?
Spam me? Did I spam mute
No.
you?
Dan.
Dan.
Yeah.
What did you do, Dan?
I tried to mute you and then unmute you, and it just said mute
Yeah.
twice.
So that that made it so that I was muted. So I was able to unmute myself, and then that fixed it.
Yeah, I figured I would try something like that.
So it's Dan's fault.
No, I don't know what happened. Either way, it's working now.
Sure.
Welcome to the show, Riley.
Hey, thanks.
Glad to have you here.
Why did he want me to come? I mean, I know I was editing the doc in real time. Yeah.
We got more stuff to talk about, and
it seems like you had unresolved.
Talk about it by myself.
It seems like you had unresolved feelings about Twitter, but we don't have to go back to that.
We can go back to that.
Honestly, I wrote for the discussion question for that one. I have nothing more to say because after covering it for 2 weeks or more, I mean, before he actually took control 2 weeks ago, I was tired of covering it, and then the last 2 weeks have just been. It's like.
Yeah, I find.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm honestly not that interested in talking about it for whatever reason. People just need to like see it for themselves, and then that's it. Because there's too much going on. Like, if you actually want coverage of this whole thing, it's going to take you a whole day. Because too much is going on. Well, like, by the hour, there's crazy things happening.
Yeah, and it's funny because
he's tweeting at 2 a.m. Like, how?
He's tweeting 2 a.m, and instead of being like anything serious about the fact that like the platform that you bought for $44 billion is in chaos, he's just posting memes. Like
Omega lol, yeah, like yeah. So like
it's especially hard because
Twitter stuff,
it's about this platform that is all about immediate reactions. It's about like short, quick takes, and so people feel the need to post news immediately. Like there's one reporter. I'm pretty sure I linked her in here somewhere, but she works for the Platformer, and she's been doing a lot of the like on the ground reporting, like talking to Twitter employees and stuff. And even she tweeted something. I feel bad if I don't find her account now, but I'm not in my accounts here, so I don't know how to find it. She tweeted this morning like, "Oh, just seeing this email that says this," and then she tweeted a couple more times about it, and she's like, "Actually, I'm not sure whether this is real. Hold on."
Yeah.
And I was like, okay,
that's another huge problem.
Yeah,
there's genuinely
like you were saying earlier,
stuff going around, but there's also genuine, just like crazy things happening. And how you differentiate between fabricated things and crazy things is just like.
Zoe Schiffer, the chat is helping me out. It's Zoe Schiffer. Yeah, she works for Platformer. A lot of good reporting on it, but you know, no one's perfect. But yeah, I didn't really have anything else to say about it. I mean, at this point, it's just kind of like we'll see what happens. Maybe Twitter will die. Even if Twitter dies, though, it'll come back. I feel like I feel like whatever happens, Twitter as an entity, it may be something completely different to what Twitter is now, but Twitter itself will be around. It's a big brand. Someone's going to do something with it, you know?
That being said, like MySpace went down. I guess someone did do something with it, right? It's being used right now.
That's true. But I feel like, okay, I've heard you talk, okay, let's not talk a long time about Twitter, but I've heard you talk on WAN Show a number of times about how you hate Twitter.
Yeah.
And every time you said that, I'm like, kind of hurts, because I love Twitter because it's different from the other platforms. It's you don't have to post an image like Instagram. It's not made up of all these discrete like groups and like a million different components like Facebook. It's just, if you want to just post a couple of words, you can just do it and it's fine, you know?
I don't want to do that.
Well, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But I like it because it's like, especially for, you know, people who
I used
appreciate...
to like tell people to not use Twitter. I used to be like, you should get off Twitter. You should go outside and touch grass. I don't really do that anymore because I had some feedback similar to kind of what you're saying. And I'm like, you know what? That has value. I just don't personally see a lot of value in it, but that doesn't mean that the value isn't there.
Right.
I don't tell other people not to use it anymore. But I think this is actually, this whole thing going on right now is a perfect example of how good it is at this. I think its whole power is in spreading negativity. It's really good at amplifying negative messages. That's like the main thing that it's good at.
And I've heard you say that, yeah.
The Twitter being saved by the 2016 election totally makes sense because we've never had as much negativity around an election as we did around that one for America, whatever.
I feel like I agree with you, but I would also say that it probably excels as well at amplifying extremely positive and heartwarming stuff. It's like it won't and I think that this is kind of any social media platform. Extreme sentiments, whether they're negative or positive,
Will always do better.
do well.
Yeah.
If you put something out there and be like, I'm watching this show right now, it's pretty good. Like, no one cares. As I've discovered trying to tweet about Andor, which is an amazing show, but it's still a Star Wars Disney show. Let's not get into that. But I'm just saying that
I'm going to watch it because of you.
Dude.
I haven't talked to you about this. I am only going to watch it because of you,
oh my
by the way.
gosh,
You are
I'm
the
so
sole
frustrated
reason
why more people aren't. No, I understand why they're not watching it, because the other shows were complete. I mean, I don't want to say they're complete garbage, but they made me angry. They're not good. And Andor is like somebody made a good show for like HBO Light, and it happens to be a Star Wars show, and it's faithful to lore, and is actually made by people who know how to make a TV show. It's just watch Andor.
That's mind-boggling for a Star Wars fan. So yeah, I'll check it out.
As someone who absolutely hates what Disney has done with them, I was surprised to like it, but I love it because it's good. Twitter, it'll go away. I just hope that there is another. If Twitter dies, or if Twitter is unable to be revived in the way that it in its current form, I wish that I hope that another social media platform will arise with the same kind of like lack of care for posting. Like on Instagram, people try too hard. Facebook, I don't even know what's going on there. It's taken over by moms. TikTok is like ADHD, too much stimulation, I can't handle it. Twitter is like more chill, and it's just like we're posting jokes because we thought of a funny joke, and you just write it down.
Twitter
and
is very much the social media platform that you use while you're getting coffee. Like it's
yeah,
for sure.
Someone's like, dude, they're just movies with Luke. We did Hackers.
We did.
Go watch it.
It's actually really fun. I really enjoy. I wish I cared more about movies and TV shows, so I should go on it more, but I don't. I figured out a TV show that I watch actually.
Oh yeah.
But I do watch very infrequently.
What?
You guys told me to, but it's not going to be interesting to talk about on the show.
Well, just say what it is.
Taskmaster.
What is that?
You know what that? It's like a British game show.
I've heard the name. I just completely forget what the subject matter is.
I
is it like a comedy thing?
It every once in a while. Yeah, they usually have comedians on.
Yeah.
And then they have them do various tasks, and then they're like graded on how well they do the tasks. And because it's comedians, and for the most part, it seems like they are trying to make an entertaining thing to watch instead of necessarily compete against each other. They're still trying to like win,
right?
But you can tell that they're going for the entertainment value. It's really funny.
It's sort of like Whose Line
ways that they come up with being able to play and stuff. But yeah, I enjoy Taskmaster. I will usually like binge watch it a little bit and then forget about it for like a year or more, and then binge watch it a little bit again. But they have full episodes on YouTube.
Oh wow, nice. Yeah,
and it's not country locked, so it's just like, oh, sweet.
I feel like I've definitely seen clips of this show. It's kind of like Whose Line Is It Anyway, but less like we're doing a skit with a bunch of people and more like one person has to kind of go off for a while and then other people rate them. No? Isn't it like kind of like improv comedy? Like you give a prompt and then they kind of, or is it like they're actually doing physical tasks? I thought it was
doing
like
physical tasks. Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of the show. Yeah. I feel like there's other shows where someone like gives like a prompt and then you have to like come up with something.
No, like they'll film all of the task challenges before they film the show. And then the show is actually them watching the task back.
Oh, okay.
And the Taskmaster like giving them. This is a really weird WAN show. We should.
Well, you brought me on. I mean, what do you expect?
No, this is fair. But we should jump into the FTX thing. I feel like you have probably tracked this significantly better than I have.
Sort of. So, like, what I wanted to say about the FTX thing is that, since
before you go into it, just for people that have no idea what they even are.
Oh, yeah. Oh, FTX. So FTX is a cryptocurrency exchange owned by or started by a guy named Sam Bankman-Fried. I don't know how to say his name. Fried. Yeah. And he was like viewed as sort of a prodigy, became a huge billionaire, very rich. Loves League of Legends. So that should tell you something about where this is going. Degenerate. If you play League of Legends. Everything else is fine. You can't call anything else degenerate nowadays, but League of Legends, that's the thing. you can say it's degenerate. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
In case you didn't know, that they released
What I do know is that he's really bad at League of Legends. This was honestly,
Is he?
I think,
I didn't
the
even know.
most disappointing part of this whole story to me, because we're going to talk about how this guy screwed people over millions and billions of dollars, and that's really obviously disappointing. But the thing that impacted me the most is that this person apparently has hundreds of games, potentially over 1,000 hours, like lots and lots of time in League of Legends, and is stuck in bronze.
I was trying. Yeah,
Which
I
is
saw
just
that.
so cringe, dude. Like,
I just read an article. I just read an article that was saying, well, I didn't read it, but like as I was about to come on set here, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know enough about this to talk about it. So that I was like trying to look stuff up real quick, and I found an article about how when he was on business meetings, people would hear clicks in the background, and he had a reputation for playing League of Legends while on conference calls for business.
wow, that's
So APM was
amazing.
APM was huge.
Still hard stuck in bronze though.
So basically, with the FTX thing, what I understand about it, I didn't follow absolutely every development, because honestly, since the crypto crash earlier this year, I have not paid attention as much to crypto stuff, because
Yeah.
I think that
I
it
think most
has
people haven't.
largely kind of passed out of the mainstream
Mainstream a little
view.
bit.
I mean, I don't want to
It's
say
still
that
definitely
because
there.
yeah, there are still like
FTX had their name on a sports arena. I don't know
for sure
which one. I don't remember.
But we're
like,
probably
it's-
not
yeah.
going to be seeing Super Bowl ads for crypto coins anytime soon again, or maybe we will. I don't even know when the Super Bowl is. Is it in April?
It's around there. I should know this.
I expected you to know, but what am I thinking?
I actually don't know. All I know is I get a notification from my brother and my dad every year, and they're like, "Hey, we're watching the Super Bowl. It's on this day," and I show up. That's
Yeah,
it.
exactly. My mom makes chili, and it's a family thing.
Yeah.
But nobody watches
Anyway.
it before the Super Bowl. Anyways, apparently, as far as I can tell, this is like the TLDR. Sam Bankman-Fried he started FTX, the exchange. He was using funds from that exchange as collateral on another one of his companies called Alameda Research. He made some wrong decisions. It caused the collapse of the exchange. Binance, one of the other huge crypto exchanges in the world, at first they were like arguing about it. At first they were like they had animosity, and then Binance was like, okay, we'll bail you out, because the two founders of these exchanges actually do know each other, and they've been, they're both in the same sphere. And Binance said, we'd bail you out, but then they backed out, leaving Sam Bankman-Fried in dire straits, and many crypto coins lost a huge amount of value, including Solana, and that's basically like the super TLDR of the situation,
Yeah.
as far as I understand it.
As far as my understanding, a couple of just little juicy details, and this is alleged. I'm going to put allegedly on this, but as far as my understanding goes, he said that he was not leveraging or like gambling with users' funds that were inputting stuff into the FTX exchange. The problem is that FTX was loaning out money to Alameda Research, and then Alameda Research was leveraging and gambling with that money. So he was like, FTX is not going to do this.
Right,
and he just
right.
lended the money to another group.
So
That was
technically,
doing it.
right. He's like, technically they're not doing it, but they're doing it. There's like, okay,
Yeah.
there's some degrees of separation that somehow makes it okay in
There's
their
a lot of
heads.
things that you would expect a League of Legends player to do in this story. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the main question,
Kidding.
one of the, yeah, exactly. Get him, drag him. One of the questions that this kind of brought up for me, I guess, was like, people have been talking about cryptocurrency and like regulating it for so long. And obviously that kind of goes against, I mean, like you guys brought up the tweet earlier that I thought was hilarious from Jeff Geerling, just being like, it has never made sense. Like the whole idea, the whole point you would get into cryptocurrency is to have a decentralized currency. And then when you put it in an exchange, it's just like, what's the benefit? Now it's just centralized. Now it's just different money.
I think I can kind of answer that, actually.
Please.
It's people that don't care about that aspect. They want it as a monetary vehicle. They want something that they can effectively gamble with.
Right.
It's an investment. They don't care about the fact that it's decentralized. They don't care about any of the features of the different coins. They're not into the technical aspect of it at all. They just go, okay, well, the line has gone up for a while, and then it went down, and I'm going to buy the dip, and then it's going to go up, and I'll sell it again.
Yeah.
So they're not worried about taking off exchange or the decentralized aspects. And then obviously there are tons of people that do care about those, but I think a lot of the people on exchanges are people that see the Super Bowl ads and whatever else, and they see the line going up, and they hear about billionaires that are made off of crypto, and they're like, oh, okay, I'll buy some. And then they leave it on the exchange because they're not technical and they don't care about those.
Yeah.
aspects.
And to me, I mean, that's the main, because like every time we talk about cryptocurrency, I feel a bit bad because way back in the early 2000s, you know, and people were talking about, or before then, I forget. I thought it was like early 2000s when this stuff really, or like 2011 or something. You know, it wasn't a scam really back then. Like people actually were trying to, you know, they had some like libertarian ideas about finance. That
was like the whole goal. Was the technical
about
stuff. Yeah,
government control
people
of
weren't
things.
Speculating.
Yeah, which is like, you know, I'm not a libertarian, but I can understand that as a political ideology. You know, you're like, hey, that we think the government should have less say in what we do with our money and how we, you know, what we're allowed to do. And so let's make these cryptocurrencies and we'll free people, especially in areas of the world where, you know, there are really oppressive governments. It would give some sort of freedom to people to do the things that they want.
Destabilization.
Yeah. So like when you go all the way back, the idea of cryptocurrency was, I'm sure some people were in it just because they thought they could get rich, but for some of them, no doubt, it was like a noble goal. Could be.
And for a considerable amount of people, it still is. I just don't think those are the people that largely got screwed over by this.
For sure.
A lot of people that got screwed over by this are speculators and people that are in it to make that money, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And some people are pointing out in the chat that like those people do still exist. And that, you know, that's true. Of course, there are people who are still involved in it because they have a hope that it could improve society in some way. But I think that like that's the funny thing with these centralized exchanges. It allowed the bad actors who are in on things early to leave normies holding the bag. It's like, oh, we got you all hyped up for this stuff, and then we got your investment, and now we're gonna get out while the getting's good, and you're screwed.
That's one of the roughest things about crypto is there's been so many bodies on the path, you know, and this is just another one of those scenarios where like. The people that I know that are really into it and they're doing it properly, I'm certain they weren't touched by this. Other than the fact that a lot of different cryptos took a hit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But like they didn't lose their coins. Their coins may have lost USD value, but they didn't lose their coins.
Right. Wait, did they?
It's still. What do you mean?
You're saying with the collapse of this exchange? Oh, right, because they didn't get hacked or anything. It was just the value tanked.
There was well, okay, no.
Oh, maybe
people
it was
that were on FTX. I think they lost their coins. What I'm saying is people that don't deal with exchanges because they're like, no, I'm into the decentralized aspects.
Yeah, sure,
have it on cold wallets, stuff like that. Those people didn't lose their coins physically,
right?
But they might have lost some value or not. I don't know. It depends on what coins they're in. But it makes the whole space look gross when this type of stuff happens. And I think that's something that a lot of crypto people have had a bit of a hard time either accepting or understanding, or I don't know, this whole time, is I think the reaction by a lot of the hardcores when stuff like this happens is, get owned, noob. You should have been on a cold wallet, which is fair to a certain degree. But as much as you want to react that way, as long as this type of stuff happens, I don't think it's gonna hit the type of market adoption that they want it to.
No.
So
well, it was nice to talk about FTX. That was the topic from today I was least prepared to discuss because I kind of am way more familiar with the rest of it. Well, what do you want to talk about? You wanted to talk about Pokemon, I know for sure.
I do want to talk about
but maybe
Pokemon.
that's no one cares about that. Seems like people are upset that you get choppy frame rates.
Well, it's kind of ridiculous. Oh, there's a source that is from
That's
me?
right. I
What
put
is
you
this?
in there because I saw that you tweeted about
wow.
it. So I
I
honestly,
didn't even know anyone saw this.
I put this in there because I knew that you would probably have an opinion
Yeah, this is ruining my reputation
about
of not
the
tweeting.
best
People are going to figure
Pokemon
out that I only
in
do replies.
the best Pokemon in any of any of them.
I have unironically heard that take. Unironically.
Which one? I didn't give a take.
That this game, Violet or whatever it's called, Scarlet, I don't know,
Is the best
Pokemon
Oh,
of all.
sorry. No, I meant like which Pokemon, which.
Oh, which individual Pokemon?
Yeah,
You asked me what my favorite Pokemon is.
Yeah.
Personally, Kadabra.
Really?
Yeah, because
Wait, Kadabra. There's
the
Abra,
middle one.
Kadabra, and then
middle
Alakazam.
one.
Right.
Yeah, because back in Red and Blue, the old school Game Boy cartridge games, my brother, I think it was, figured out that you could catch an Abra just north and west of Misty's gym, the second gym that you run into. There's this little thin patch of grass, and you can catch an Abra. My brother figured it out. I don't know how he figured it out. He might have spent a while in there. I don't know.
I mean, there are
he figured out
secrets.
you could get an Abra there. And we were both like, that's crazy.
Abra?
Because the internet's not like so much of a thing yet. But
It was magical.
Yeah, we figured out you can get Abras in there. We figured out that they're useless.
What do you mean?
All they can do is teleport.
They can't
So if
learn
you-
any
if
other
you-
moves?
If you put them out in battle and you use teleport, you just go back to the Pokestop or whatever. The medical center. I don't remember what it's called.
Wait, was that yeah, because Abra, so I guess Abra was kind of like the, well,
Kind
not,
of a derp.
not
But what you would
Metapod,
do
because
is you-
Metapod could still have the sting, the whatever, the one attack, instead of just
How do you
harden.
just harden.
No, I mean, I think if you find a Metapod in the wild, it might just have harden, but if you evolve a Caterpie into a Metapod, it was a Caterpie? I think it was.
Oh,
They could have
interesting. I
string
didn't know
shot. So you could harden and string shot together,
that.
which is
Nice. Very good.
kind of a weird, like, it seems weird together now to me
gotta
for some reason.
harden
As an
first.
adult, you gotta
Potentially
harden,
multiple
use
times,
harden, and
you can
then
string shot.
you can string shot. So
Yeah, that's the combo. That's how you finish the battle.
we would never
Um,
do this on TechLinked. This is a WAN show level of maturity.
Yeah. But so you would put Abra out first, and then you'd immediately swap him with your strong Pokemon, so he got shared experience for the fight. Your strong Pokemon would take a hit, but then it would beat whatever you're fighting. Abra would get experience. You eventually get Kadabra. You fight with Kadabra for a little bit. You eventually get Psybeam, and then you just one-shot everything in the game. He's so overpowered.
Psybeam.
It's actually crazy.
Don't
It's so nuts.
don't sleep
Like,
on Psybeam.
It's crazy. And I never we didn't have link cables. So we couldn't trade. So we couldn't get Alakazams.
Yeah. Oh,
But
right.
Alakazam
Yeah.
ain't it. It's
That
Kadabra.
almost seems so rude. It's like we're watching the
kinda was.
show, we're excited, we want to get the Pokemon, and then if I don't have any friends, then I can't get Alakazam. I'm being
You can't get
discriminated
Alakazam,
against.
you can't get Gengar. And Haunter is my second favorite Pokemon.
You can't get freaking Gengar, everybody.
Yeah. So it was so frustrating because both my two favorite Pokemon, I couldn't get to their third evolution. But they were sick anyways, because Haunter was also overpowered as hell back in those games. Because all the normal type attacks couldn't hit him at all.
Right.
And a huge percentage of Pokemon back then just have like tackle.
Okay.
So you can't touch them.
I
It was amazing.
I have been frustrated in the past with the fact that I spend a lot of time on WAN topics, and then you guys just like do whatever
You
we're
want me
doing
to get
right
back
now.
on topic? Sounds good.
Well,
I'll get on it.
but
Okay,
I'm realizing how difficult it is, so I don't feel angry
Yes.
anymore because
that's good.
I just want to talk about Pokemon.
Yeah, things just happen. No,
Pokemon-
but this is a topic. So let's
Yeah.
get back onto the actual Pokemon topic.
What do you know
which
about
is,
it? Because you know more than me, probably. Honestly.
Yeah, there's Pokemon Scarlet, Pokemon Violet, new games that came out, and there's clips. If you go to the Mutahar, Ordinary Gamers, fantastic YouTube channel, if you go to his tweet and you watch this video, you can see it chug like crazy.
Can I
The
do
performance
this?
problems in this game are actually wild.
What do I press? Do I press Linus? Do I press the Linus
Sorry,
button?
what do you want to do?
I want to show my screen.
Make sure
Just to
it's
show the laggy.
make sure it
I'm on
doesn't have
Twitter.
anything.
I'm just on Twitter.
Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah. Push,
There's no bad
Mutahar-
things.
push Linus laptop.
There it is.
Oh gosh.
Wait, they can see the chat.
Yeah, that's okay.
Now
Yeah,
they
that's
know what
fine.
everyone else is saying too.
They're gonna argue with each other.
Oh no.
All right,
Sometimes they're really nice. Sometimes they point it out and they say nice things.
Witness the chop.
But yeah,
When has that ever happened?
Yeah, the chop is really bad. And you can see things popping in and popping out, and it's horrible. And
I mean, okay, so we saw it. Now I can go back. Cam only. Phew. I can do this.
You're an expert.
I can do the WAN show.
give me one quick second.
I have not played a Pokemon game since... Oh, what was it? What was the second one? I played Pokemon Yellow. Little tidbit.
Yeah, okay.
I was the first kid in my grade 6 class to bring my Game Boy Color and Pokemon Yellow game to school. Everyone wanted to play. People came up to me and they said, "Hey, I'm a pretty good Pokemon trainer. Let me train your Pokemon." And I would give it to them. And then they'd play and like give it back to me, and I'd be up a few levels. It's like I was king of the castle.
For real? That's kind of cool.
But
that is I think that's still in the red and blue era.
Yeah, yellow.
You just have Pikachu.
It was red, blue. Yeah, yellow was basically red and blue, but you had Pikachu, and there were a couple other like subtle things too. But it was the same game basically. Yeah. And then I played the next one,
had green,
which is I forget what it's called, but the one after that, and then that's the last one I played.
I don't remember. Yeah.
So I don't have any context.
The problem here lies with Game Freak. It's development problems. There are like, sure, okay, the performance on the Switch is anemic. That is totally, absolutely legit. The Switch at this point is quite old. I was still making review videos for Linus Tech Tips when the Switch came out. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, what is it running on NVIDIA Tegra?
By now.
Like,
you remember what
like
that
from
is
the Shield
point?
tablet? Like,
yeah, like it's a problem. We need an updated Switch for sure. 100% agree with that.
It was so
Absolutely
crazy when they
legit.
released the OLED version and it just had it was the same internals. It's like, what?
Yeah, like come on.
Because it wouldn't be that
Give it a
hard
little
either.
bump.
It's just like it's an ARM
the new
processor.
Switch, right?
What's that?
Whatever. Call it the new Switch or whatever. Like do your crappy Nintendo naming. No one cares. Just make it a little bit better. But I completely agree with Mudahar's take of emulating it and running it with a 60 FPS patch because it is despicable the state that this game was released in. Because it looks not good. Even when it's not lagging.
Some games look good.
It looks like junk.
This one
and
does
then
look
it
not
also
good.
lags like crazy. Like what is this?
Oh,
Come
yeah,
on.
someone points out the Tegra X1 chip is the chip, and it was running at half the clock speed of the Shield. Apparently, I can't verify that, but yeah. I mean, they had to make some concessions, right? Because it's like,
mobile.
It was so
battery-based.
frustrating to me too, man. I got a taste of like the Steam Deck and stuff before all of these like handhelds came out because I did the video on LTT about running Android on the Switch before they modded out the exploit with the patch, and that was awesome, man. Like streaming cloud games and stuff on the Switch, PC games. Anyways,
yeah, like Conrad says in Floatplane chat, best way to play the Switch is to not. And honestly, at this point, that's true because the best way to play Switch is to emulate it.
Right. On any of the other things that you have, yeah.
So Game Freak, figure it out. A lot of people pointed out that the release cadence might be too aggressive.
Right.
I don't care.
Okay.
Either start releasing games less frequently.
Right.
Stop cash cowing Pokemon so hard, or hire more people and start doing a rotating thing where one team works on a game for like 3 years, and you have 2 other teams, so they're dropping games in series or whatever.
Yeah.
But like this is ridiculous, and people should not financially reward this level of effort.
Yeah, I heard people saying that, it's like, okay, you can't blame them. They only have a year to do it. So then it's like, okay,
you can absolutely blame them.
If we say that that's the cause, then it's either the fact that like, I don't know who makes the final decision. It's probably higher ups at Nintendo wanting to like pump out Pokemon games. So, Pokemon's a bad guy. Game Freak can, I wouldn't blame
They
Game
need to figure
Freak,
it out, basically. Yeah. I'm not being like, hey, you individual developer that worked on the popping in of the graphics, you're a bad person. Like,
that's
I'm not
what I thought you were
that.
saying to me.
They need to come up with a solution, a business solution to this. They need to either release less games so they have more time to work on them, or they need to hire more people, expand the teams, and make it dedicated teams per game, and then make it so they're rolling. So you have one team release a game every like 3 years, have 3 different teams, blah, 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 do something like that. I don't prefer that system, but if they're really dedicating to this level of release cadence, then they need to do something like that. But
Okay.
anyways,
let's move on.
enough Pokemon.
What? I don't know what should we do another topic? Is that what you do? You've already done sponsors. So from here, it's whatever
we're free. We're free.
Did you
we got
cover
merch messages?
Oh, sure.
Sponsors. That's it. And we got topics.
Linus showed me where the merch messages are, but now they've escaped me. Oh, there they are. Hello.
We're letting those.
We're letting them chill. They have to. They have to steep. They have to.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Marinating.
No. Ferment. They have to ferment a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the final. You send in a merch message and you think it's pretty good, but you don't even know how good it's going to be by the time we get to it. It'll be even better.
Yeah. These are properly aged merch messages.
Okay, which one of these did you have thoughts about? I don't think you guys talked about the Doom Eternal soundtrack thing, right? Because Linus asked me to put that in there, but Anthony filled it out, so I still don't know what's going on with that. So I think it's probably best to leave that to next week if Linus still wants to talk about it. Unless you know everything about it.
I know some things about it. This amount of notes is actually crazy. I have a large monitor. It does not fit on the monitor.
Anthony does not screw around.
He doesn't. He dives in. I like it. But yeah, I think I'm just going to start reading through this. I know some of this. So I'm going to have opinions along the way, but based on the amount of notes here, I honestly don't think I know all of this. Anthony says, I did my best to cut this down, but this is a messy one. That's totally legit. Honestly, this being this long, very likely makes a lot of sense. And he intros it with bolded letters, which we don't normally do. It's important. Don't go after anyone. This is not an encouragement to harass anyone or anything. Don't do it. Please.
Don't do it.
Every single time that people say this, and then people are like, oh, it's a coded message to do it. And then they do it anyways. They screw with everything and they make it worse. And it's really freaking annoying. So stop. Don't go after anyone. Seriously. There is proper... Well, I believe we'll see. I think there's legal process happening with this right now.
Yeah, I mean...
Let that go its course.
Yeah, we'll see.
Anyways.
You go ahead.
Doom Eternal's much-anticipated soundtrack was released to little acclaim in 2020 when it was discovered that the quality of the mixes were incredibly subpar. Some of the many issues include cuts between songs and sections, sometimes with overlap but no fade, causing clicks and pops, tempo changes, and just various gaps. Outcry surrounding this led to Mick disowning the OST, according to Doom Eternal executive producer Marty Stratton on the r/Doom subreddit shortly after release. I will add some context here. The soundtrack for Doom Not Eternal, like the previous one, was amazing. Fantastic. And I believe it was made by the same person. Interesting. Moving forward. In his lengthy post, this being Marty Stratton, he defended id, or id software, ID software, and sound designer Chad Mossholder. The main issue with the OST itself, according to Stratton, was that id didn't have the original files to mix with, leaving only the in-game files to splice together. It's further claimed that Mick delivered less music than expected in time for the OST's release, necessitating these splices. Mick was said to have supervised Chad on a backup OST and signed off on a combined work. Marty says that id did absolutely nothing to prevent Mick from delivering on his commitments within the time frame he asked for. The harassment faced by id, he said, was a result of comments made by Mick, who had since done, quote unquote, nothing to change the conversation. This is a lot of names. Good luck following it. The ultimate ending of this is going to be, if you're interested, you're going to have to dive into it yourself.
Yeah.
Because Mick and Nick. And
there's a Mick and a Nick?
blah.
Oh my gosh.
I think so. Am I wrong?
An id?
No, it's Mick and Marty.
Oh, Marty.
Sorry,
Yeah,
they both
yeah.
start with M, which I think is going to get
Mick
hard
and
to
Marty.
follow. But anyways.
At the end of all this, maybe they'll open up a pasta shop together. A pasta
Wouldn't that
shop.
be cute?
You don't eat there.
very
You just go and buy pasta and take it home. Okay. Continue.
No sauce. Very recently, Mick Gordon posted a very long, very detailed rebuttal. In the post, prompted by damage to his professional reputation, Mick provides evidence that highlights the extreme crunch he was expected to work through. Being asked to write music before areas of the game was created, often resulting in music that did not fit and had to be remade. having the OST announced while no contract was in place to produce it, expectation of a new track every 2 weeks, regardless of whether previous tracks had been rejected or had to be redone due to changes in design. That's a huge issue. An extreme push to meet the original November 2019 release date, threats of lawsuits during arguments over contractual demands, and not being paid for 11 months while this was happening. Whoa, the heck? I didn't know that part. For the OST, Mick says his interaction with Chad was minimal, and he never heard the final product before release. Metadata provided by Chad showed the OST was being made without him for 6 months before he was contracted to do it after it was delayed. Without him, as in, I think, Mick? Don't know. According to Mick, it definitely did have the original source files, but they didn't mix them properly. When it did release, meaning the game, I think, several demo tracks were rejected and thus not paid for. Several demo tracks that were rejected and thus were not paid for because they were rejected were included in the OST, which is not cool. Bad.
No.
Mick says that if he had acted the way Marty says, Bethesda would have had the right to not pay him what they did, including an on-time bonus. Okay. Mick suggests that the real reason the OSC was rushed was because of legal issues surrounding pre-order bonuses and consumer protection laws. Prior to Marty's post, Mick says that Marty had instructed him to not... Holy crap.
Hello?
I can't follow this.
Yeah.
There's too many names. I don't know if I'm just like brain fog from being sick, but I'm reading this out myself. And this
I
is
know.
crazy.
Honestly, as
Marty, Mick,
okay.
Marty, Chad, Marty, Mick, Mark.
Oh. Twitter?
Jeez. Okay. Anyways, there's a lot of he said, she said. Moral of the story is don't do or request contract work without a rock solid contract.
There we
Contractors
go.
aren't employees, and always keep receipts. These are good points. Discussion question. We've heard of crunch in the games industry before. We were literally talking about it before the stream, but mostly in respect to employees, not contractors.
Oh.
How much of this is I don't know if that's true. It's definitely both always. How much of this is a systemic problem, and how much of this is due to the dynamic of management versus contractor? I think it's absolutely both. How many interactions like this happen that aren't high profile and never get properly resolved? And who gets the short end of the stick? That's a lot of discussion.
I will say that, like, one of the only things that I think I can say about this is I think in the games industry particularly, there seems to be a problem with having a lot of this type of conflict happen in the background, and it only really comes out when there's like a big giant online fiasco about it. I feel like when it comes to other industries, maybe like movies, this stuff is more likely to emerge as people are kind of like talking about it in the open a little bit more. But with this, it's like, oh, we found out after the fact that all of these employees from these game studios have been completely I mean, I will say that, like, when it comes to like visual effects and other things, like there have been similar, scandals in other industries. It just seems that this is a gut feeling that in the games industry, it seems like this stuff seems to be swept under the rug a bit more, which is not good.
Yeah. I think a lot of people just swallow the pill that they're working in the games industry, so they'll deal with it.
Right. Because there's this belief in crunch. It's like a cultural thing almost. Depending now,
definitely.
Whether it's changing, but
it's also a very difficult thing because games are often, not always, obviously, but games are often, especially this one, I would include in there, very complicated systems that have to be worked on by a huge variety of teams, and those teams are going to have different delays. And then the ability for other teams to be able to progress in their work is going to lean on a different team achieving their goal. So if Team A has a delay, that delays Team B's ability to work on something. So a lot of these delays will cascade into even more delays, and it becomes software development is already a situation where it's nigh impossible to make accurate timeline estimations of how long it's going to take you to do something. You can make very educated guesses. Then you can run into problems that there was no way you could have foreseen that can just wreck everything.
Right. Some people are pointing...
also
oh, good.
There's also a huge chance for scope changes. This is a huge problem in the gaming industry. Something will happen. Like, remember when Battle Royales just like blew up and every game in development was like, oh, wait, we need a Battle Royale. Oh, my goodness. That's a pretty major scope change, for example. But yeah, it can be really rough. Also, gamers.
Oh, yeah.
Not the greatest audience to have in this scenario.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be pissed about crunch, but then if your game is late, you're the worst person on the planet. So it's like,
And I will say, to validate what you were saying about Twitter earlier, like, it definitely seems like, gamers are online more so than, fans of other entertainment mediums. I don't think that you're getting, like, with movies and stuff, you have people like backlash, but like with games, it's like every little game that is able to have a Twitter account and post updates is liable to be swarmed by people who are unhappy with decisions they make. Less so for like smaller movies and whatnot. So
because they're very, very loud. They will complain about things very quickly and very intensely, but they absolutely refuse to vote with their wallet. They will review bomb things. They'll do all this other kind of stuff. One of my favorite things to see is where people will catch people in screenshots where they have review bombed something and then bought it afterwards. People who will be like, I will never buy this thing, and then you can see it's like in their account, so they clearly did buy it. It's like that's gamers, in my opinion. They will scream about something, they'll say it's the worst, most vile thing ever, and then they'll buy it and buy all the DLC and buy all the optional skins and spend every dollar they possibly can on the game.
I will say that I'm on a movie podcast, so I feel the need. I empathize with the need to kind of like play what other people are playing, and like, oh, this game just came out, everyone's talking about it. I need to play it because I need to have a take so that I can post about it or talk about it on Discord or whatever. And like, I don't want to have to avoid spoilers. There's all sorts of things. So I empathize with that thing because on a movie podcast, you got to keep up with what's going on. You got to watch the new movie. But at the same time, after having a kid, I have way less time to keep up with things. So I've never really been good at playing like the super new game, but even less so now. And I feel like if you allow yourself to kind of get rid of that need to like play every game when it comes out, so that you can take part in the whatever you call it. I mean, dogpiling on people online. It's actually pretty cool if you just kind of chill out and you're like, I can play some of these 300 games in my Steam library. I don't need to keep buying things,
Yeah.
Minimalism.
Yeah. Come on, guys.
The other thing that I wanted to mention real quick is that people were posting in the chat, tech unions. It's unions in games is like it's starting to change, but there's not a whole lot of worker protections because there's so much contract work and stuff, and we kind of alluded to that earlier. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say.
That's what I was saying too. Is like there was the discussion question, but like we hear about it with employees, but not contractors.
Right.
There's a huge amount of contractors in the game development space. You probably don't realize they're not employees.
Right.
But yeah, it's totally a thing.
Okay, let's move on.
You want to do your People Make Games topic?
So this was something that someone sent to Linus, and Linus didn't really know what was going on with it, so he asked me to take a look. And I'm subscribed to People Make Games. I like them as a channel. They, obviously, Tech Longer is kind of a similar thing I'm trying to do, where I want to do this type of deep dive investigation. But they made this video. They posted about a week ago, just over a week ago, and they're finding that Valve's underage gambling problem. Do you remember that from like 2015, 2016?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's basically as bad as it ever was. I mean, I don't want to say that because we don't have like exact numbers, but it's still a huge thing. I mean, here, I'll start reading the stuff, I guess. A recent investigation by YouTube gaming journalist People Make Games has uncovered the fact that the CSGO skin gambling industry is continuing to get minors hooked on gambling despite the issue dominating headlines back in 2016. I'm just going to bring up their video here just so you can see it, okay? real quick, and then you can go watch it because it's, you know, it's 36 minutes long. It's a great video.
Check it out.
And now to go back to the thing, remember, so streamers Tom Syndicate Castle and Trevor T. Martin back in 2016 received multiple civil lawsuits for promoting the gambling site CSGOLotto.com during their streams without disclosing that they were the site's owners. They rigged the site so they could win top-tier loot while streaming to their millions of followers, many of which were children. And similar cases happened with other streamers. Valve eventually threatened skin gambling websites with legal action unless they closed down. And Twitch warned streamers not to stream those websites, which I thought was interesting because they didn't do it because of like the moral reason or like the, you know, and because it's bad for minors, but because doing so would be breaking the terms of service of third parties, which is against Twitch's own terms of service. And there was a whole... Were you around? Did you pay attention to the recent thing where Twitch banned unregulated gambling, but not actual gambling is still like totally fine on Twitch? Which is like, you can have a position on that. I'm not saying that like there should never, you know, I don't want to go hard on that, but it was just interesting that they. It seems like everyone's just kind of trying to pass the buck here. So then, all these points are from PeopleMakeGames video, just so you know. If you want more information, definitely watch it. In 2017, Syndicate / T. Martin got their lawsuits dismissed, and this is an interesting point. Their lawyer made the argument that using the site was basically just like using McDonald's Monopoly, or like playing Monopoly at McDonald's, where you can get a free lotto ticket if you ask. So is that a Canadian thing? I was asking somebody the other day. Is McDonald's Monopoly just in Canada? But they have promotions. I mean, regardless.
No, there's American McDonald's Monopoly.
Okay,
100%.
All right, sure. Yeah. So you go to McDonald's. You can only obtain tickets to play the game, you know, which is essentially gambling, more or less, by buying McDonald's products. And the way they get around it being quote unquote gambling, I guess, is because you can actually go up to the counter and say, I don't want to buy anything, but I want to play. And they'll give you like 2 tickets or whatever, and you can rip them. So you're not...
I didn't know you could do that, but that makes sense.
Yeah, because you don't have to put money down. You could, like, it's a game, and if you buy products, you'll get more tickets, but you could just get tickets by not paying money. So that was like legal... It was related to that argument, which is the way that they got the lawsuits dismissed, which is kind of crazy. So most people kind of forgot about this whole issue and thought the issue had been resolved. I certainly did. I thought that, like, oh yeah, the whole skin gambling thing, that was way back. They figured that out. But PeopleMakeGames points out that skin gambling sites are still thriving. Sites like CSGO Roll, CSGO Empire, CSGO Fast, CSGO Polygon, and more. They have millions of users each. So their video has a sobering section playing excerpts from a lot of interviews with players who said they got into it at like 13 and 14 years old. They bet and lost hundreds of dollars on skin betting, and many describe the experience as a key reason for their gambling addiction. So I think that's really where, you know, if you're coming into this and you're like, it's just a game, like, you know, it's not that big of a deal. Yes, if you have the, you know, mental capability and emotional maturity to understand what you're doing and how you're getting into it, right? But for 13 and 14-year-olds and whatever, they don't, like, it's setting up these habits and then they stay. Like, they describe, these people describe having modern day, they have issues with it now because they got so into it back then, and then like it forms these dopamine pathways.
Someone pointed out, sorry, just before we keep going, apparently the US used to have Monopoly, but it was rigged by the promo runners. They haven't had it in years. That's the only reason why I knew they had it, because I watched this whole mini documentary on how the FBI was involved with McDonald's Monopoly because of all the corruption involved with it, which is so interesting. But,
and other people are pointing out that gambling is already in-game, though. Like in CSGO, you can pay money, you get a loot box, you don't know what's in the box. You know, there's loot boxes. Like it's a common concept, but I mean, I guess I'm not familiar enough with the like long history of loot boxes in games to know whether CSGO was like one of the first games with that. Would you Can you speak to that, Luke? You could say no.
I suspect there was probably, I don't know.
Yeah,
but I suspect there was probably some form of gambling before loot boxes.
Right. And
I know loot boxes was the first mainstream version.
Sure. And the accusation, one of the things they talk about in the video is the fact that when you open the loot box, it's like a little slot machine graphic, and there's all these skins, and they all go and then slow down, and you're like, get the feeling that, oh my gosh, I was so close to that high-end one. Oh, I got to do it again. I was so close that time. But really, the result is decided before you open the box.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically where things are at. These sites are thriving. They're being used by children and adults, which is whatever. But the question they ask is, why doesn't Valve do anything about this? PMG's case is essentially that, like, they're saying that it's Valve's job to stop this, since it's their collectible system on Steam that allows people to say, all right, you can earn some of these things through the game, but a lot of people are just going and buying them and then using that, they're taking the skin to the skin betting site and gambling with that. Analysts told PeopleMakeGames that it's obvious how Valve profits from allowing skin gambling sites to thrive. Like casino chips, every skin is bought from the house, that's Valve, but the only way to cash out is to sell your skins to third-party sites, meaning Valve keeps every dime. In a casino, when you win a bunch of money, you take the chips back to the house, and you're like, hey, okay, let's exchange this for money. So if you win a lot of stuff at a casino, the casino loses money, or whatever, in that they have to give you the money directly. If you win a bunch of valuable skins in skin gambling, Valve isn't losing money if you want to cash those out, because you're going to go to a third-party site, and they're going to pay you for the skins, thinking that they can take those skins and put those back into the ecosystem and get money from that. So Valve keeps all the money. So they have a incentive to keep these going. I'm not saying that they know this and that they're doing this on purpose, but it doesn't look great. If they completely shut down these sites tomorrow, analysts told PeopleMakeGames that the value of skins would tank. So that's all another reason for them not to do it. And the popularity of the sites keeps people using Valve's products. People still do like showing off the skins in game. So, it's tough because there's a clear incentive for Valve to not do anything, but at the same time, it's like the last time that this kind of thing came to light, there was a huge backlash about it and made crazy headlines, and everyone was talking about it. So,
and if people are like, the skins can't be worth that much, I've seen how much skins cost in games. Well, there is an AK-47 Case Hardened, pattern number 661, that apparently just sold for over 400 grand USD.
Wow.
One skin for one gun. And might I say, it looks ugly.
Worth it.
Because apparently there's 4 stickers on it.
It's not about how it
rare.
Looks, Luke. It's the prestige.
It is. This has got to be the prestige, because it is a butt ugly skin. It's like a fine skin, I guess. It looks
now wait.
normal,
Does it have a name? Can I look it up?
4 stupid stickers on it. Just look up $400,000 CS:GO AK. You'll find it.
400K CS:GO AK. Dexerto.
Being sold by the Danish collector.
That's it. Is that it? Are we looking at it here?
Yeah, that's it.
Blue?
All the stickers are on it. It looks stupid.
I think it's kind of cute.
Oh man, I don't know.
I'm just kidding. I don't understand.
I get it from an exclusive. Well, I don't get it at all. But I guess the value in it is the exclusivity. Because if I remember correctly, I think someone said it's like stat tracked. I don't remember. It's also in the new or whatever their naming is for as good condition as it can be in. It's in a really rare pattern, and then the 4 stickers I believe are rare or something. But man, wow, I don't know.
Wait, how do I? This one, cam only. Wait, you can do that, can't you, Dan? You're trusting me with the potential reveal of sensitive information when you have control too?
Yeah.
I'm the dumb tech news man. You can't give me control. This is a huge mistake.
But you're Linus now.
I'm Linus now. Yeah, a lot of people are still confused about why I'm here and not Linus.
I don't touch your buttons.
Quick update, Linus had to go to an event. He's a high-flying billionaire doing cool things like Bruce Wayne all the time, so you can't stick around. You know? He's going to see Luke. So the... Yeah, I already covered the slot machine thing. So the discussion question I had for this was, gaming started as a young person's game, but is now enjoyed by all ages. Whose responsibility is it to protect kids from gambling? Is it Valve? Is it their parents? Is it the government? Like, who should we really be looking at here and being like, you're at fault? Like, obviously Valve should do something about it. Obviously Valve, it would be nice if they did, but one of the points that they make in the video that I didn't really cover in this one is how Valve kind of takes sort of a hands-off approach with a lot of things when it comes to moderation. Like, we had that whole thing.
They totally do.
I forget how long ago that was now, but originally they didn't have any, or they did have like porn games on Steam, and then they were like, they banned them, and then they're like, oh, okay, just kidding, they're back a year later or something. Do you remember anything about that?
Yeah, I don't remember all the details exactly, but I do remember that was a thing that happened. I think that's how tags came into existence, right?
Oh, well, there you go.
So people could tag something as like not safe for work, essentially, and then you could, by default, that tag is not shown to you. I think that's came around at the same time. I could be wrong though.
People are pointing out that there is porn on Steam now, yes, but like that was a recent development because they were for a while there. They were like, it seemed like they honestly flip-flopped a bunch of times because they were like, do we want to have heavy moderation? Should this be like for a family-friendly type of situation? Or do we just kind of, is it just like a games platform and anyone can put what they want on there within reason, you know?
I think the main thing that they did was basically make it so that unless you're looking for it, you shouldn't find it.
Right. And I think they largely by default
succeeded. Accomplished that. Yeah. Because unless you tell Steam, like, I want to see these.
Hello?
He has to
unless
yell.
You tell Steam,
you tell that bird to shut the hell up.
I just whistle at them.
Wait, where's this? I have a swear bleep. I won't use it. I won't risk it.
Yeah, don't.
Linus is good at it, but I'm gonna screw it up, and then I'll get our whole channel demonetized.
It's sketchy. Yeah, it's scary.
How
the way
dare
that
you?
I talk normally,
the
way I talk off camera, we're in trouble.
I do. If you ever played Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, I do the whistles that he does in that game to my birds.
Oh, so you muted yourself.
And they find it distracting because it sounds like a bird chirp, so it's distracting. So they're like, "Huh?" And it'll often throw them off of what they're currently doing.
You should yell at them like, yeah, like.
The yelling at them will accomplish just like nothing because they like loud noises. So if I yell at them, they'll be like, "Yeah, let's party!"
Woo!
Yeah, they're not gonna like interpret it as anger.
Okay, so to come back to the topic, I guess, obviously, you know, people have pointed out in the chat like, oh, you know, if parents are letting their kids have access to funds and stuff, then you know that's like, you know, no one's to blame or whatever. And it's like, you know, not everyone's parents are great people, you know, like sometimes or they're busy or they don't know, and you know, like this is a huge reason why this is such an issue, is because parents kind of, you know about movie ratings and, you know, other things like that are designed to protect children from experiences that they're not ready for. And games is still, like, even after so many years, games is still kind of like a black box to a lot of parents. And, you know, no matter what generation they're from, obviously things are progressing there, but it's still like, you know, a lot of kids, or a lot of parents they just don't know. So you can't say, oh, it's up to the parents to do it, because someone think of the children, etc. You know what I mean?
I do think I would like to see more regulation from government about things like loot boxes in games. I think promoting gambling to a format that, as much as you are saying it is definitely an all ages thing now, is definitely targeted straight in the kids' direction,
Right.
with a lot of games.
I mean,
and then promoting gambling through the form of loot boxes with those games, and a form of gambling that ropes you in, right? Because you're always going to get like at least one for free. And I think a lot of those games will rig that first one that you get for free, so you win something kind of cool, and then you want to do it more, right?
Yeah. And they also
so like,
oh, go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, I just think it's and I would like to see it not be.
What
that.
did you say there? What was that? See?
I don't know.
Now I just want to know
Special.
which one of the forbidden words?
BS.
Avada Kedavra. Oh, I was going to say something else about it, but I forgot. At the end of the video, it's a great video. You should definitely go watch it. They talked to the video game attorney guy. Actually, I forget what his name is, but I think he's on YouTube as video game attorney. And he was talking about how some platforms, I don't think he wanted to say specifically whether it was Valve or not. So I don't know if it's Valve. I think he was trying to refer to other platforms that have these kind of mechanics and how they will manipulate drops so that if they've detected through data collection that you're someone who's more likely to spend money, they will limit the amount of things that you can earn in game because they know that you're going to pay for the good stuff. But if you are someone who won't pay, who is less likely to pay, they'll give you better stuff. Which is just...
That's so rough.
Which is crazy. So again, I'm not saying that a specific platform does that, but this guy was indicating that at least some platforms that he knows of through does this, and he knows this by talking to the people involved in that. So yeah, it's a crazy time out there, and yeah, I think I agree that we need some sort of I think that some jurisdictions, I think the UK had some sort of legislation about loot boxes being officially gambling. I'm not sure where that's at in North America, but it's kind of crazy that this video hasn't gotten more traction, given how huge the issue was back in 2016. It was like dominating headlines. I remember I was making Netlinked daily at that time at NCIX, and we talked about it a lot at that time.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, and this time, these guys put out this video, and honestly, I saw it pop up, and I was like, okay, yeah. Because I thought the issue, I didn't watch it initially until Linus was like, oh, this might be something for WAN Show. And then I watched it. Because I was like, I thought it was over. I thought this was just going to be like a little update. I'm like, yeah, there's still people trading skins. But I didn't realize.
I'm going to watch it because I haven't watched it yet, but I love the People Make Games channel. So
they're
I'm excited
fantastic.
to watch it. But people might just be tired of this topic and more busy watching the world burn in various ways.
Indeed.
Next and last topic. Should we go over the disabling iOS anti-tracking thing, or should we just hit merch messages? I can leave this up to you.
I can do the iOS anti-tracking pretty quickly. I think it's not it's not as complicated as maybe it looks. Wait, where did it go? I can't.
Up. When people make games.
There it is. Up. Yeah. Anthony filled this out. Basically, the Apple released this anti-tracking or app tracking transparency feature in iOS 14.5. It's a prompt that asks if users would like to allow apps, like individual apps. It pops up. It asks you if you want to allow the app to track your activities across the internet and other companies' apps. A massive 96% of US users opted out in the earliest days of the feature's released. And Facebook and Apple had a big fight about this. Facebook lost a bunch of money, and Apple was like, screw you, because this is what we have to do to protect people's privacy. And it's becoming apparent that what Apple was doing was basically kind of making a play to be Google, in the sense that they want to supercharge their own ad services. Now, you guys have talked about this, I think, a little bit before on the WAN Show with various topics that have come up. But the key detail about this one is the fact that when you go to disable the settings in iOS that are meant to, where is it? I want to say the actual thing.
Disabled.
I think one of them is personalized ads, and the other one
personalized
is
suggestions.
Do not track.
iDevice analytics.
Yeah, Anthony said the a lot more technical way to describe it, but basically there are two toggles on your iPhone that you can go and toggle off. One says allow personalized ads, and you can say no, I don't want personalized ads, which is it's ostensibly saying that don't track me and don't collect my data. Just give me the generic ads, which means you don't need my data. And then there's another one that says do not track, and that's like involving sending a do not track request in like various other situations. And you can turn both of those off. And these developers, app developers Tommy Misk and Talal Haj Bakri, who work together under the name Misk, that's their development team, revealed that Apple's app tracking transparency, when you turn these off, it still collects the data in Apple apps. So in non-Apple apps, it will stop them from collecting data on you. But in Apple apps, and not every Apple app, but a good many of them, including the App Store itself, collects all kinds of information, profile IDs, hardware IDs, and info, keyboard language, metrics about apps viewed with timestamps, and durations for viewing, all actions taken within the apps, including like you tapping on things and how long you're looking at things, a massive amount of data describing subscription statuses and installed apps. This is all collected and sent to Apple, and it's used to... Well, I don't know if they found that it's used to personalize the ads. I don't know if they can get that far, but they can. Collected. They know that it's being collected and sent to Apple. So like, I don't honestly. There's a part of me that I'm like, is this as big of a deal? Because it's not like there's one part of me that's like, this is kind of crazy. Apple is saying whatever happens on your iPhone stays in your iPhone, and at the same time, it is a big deal because they put these buttons on your phone that don't do anything when it comes to Apple's own apps.
Aggressively misleading people about privacy is like super not okay. So I think it's a big deal.
Yeah. So like we made this the title story on TechLink the other day, and the original title I put on there was "These buttons do nothing" or "These buttons don't work," because they don't do anything. You can swap that. It's like, you know, when you open Facebook or whatever, the prompt will come up being like, "Do you want Facebook to track you?" And you say no. And that works in that app, but in an Apple app, it doesn't do anything.
We're gonna do it anyways.
So, I mean, I think you guys looked into this, and when you open an Apple app, you don't get the prompt. You can set it at a system level, but it doesn't do anything. So, anyways, discussion question: how can we trust anything any company says about respecting your privacy? Yeah, so like that's it's the same thing. You can't. We live in the current year, and it's bad. It's bad news for privacy. Should companies making privacy claims be required to independently audit their practices? Yes.
Yeah, but like...
But they won't. We won't.
If you look at the 2008 housing crisis, the independent auditing houses... I shouldn't say houses in that context. The independent auditing firms or whatever were all just playing the game.
Right.
So they would just get paid by the companies that they were supposed to be auditing and just put stamps on things. Be like, yep, looks good.
Yeah.
All the time because they were just making tons of money. That's just going to happen again. So like, yeah, that should probably happen, but it's just going to have endless amounts of corruption anyways. So
did you ever, I have a question for you, Luke. Did you ever believe, because I know that you care about stupid things like facts and evidence, but on previous WAN shows, it seems like you have wanted to kind of like, hey, let's hold on, let's only say things that we're absolutely confident of when it comes to Apple and privacy. When this topic has come up before, did you have did any part of you actually believe that Apple actually was walking the walk a little bit when it came to privacy? They say we care about your privacy. Did you believe them a little bit? Not that there's no reason to believe them on anything anymore. I'm just saying.
Yeah, pre all of this, I did to a certain degree. I thought an iOS device was more secure, and I think it was at that time. When this landed, I had concerns. It didn't seem like they were 100% playing ball in the way that they wanted people to think they were, but I didn't have a particular reason to think that they weren't. Like I'm the opposite of shocked that this topic is in the doc and this is a thing.
That's
but
what
I didn't want to say it until it happens, right?
Right.
Because I think there's a lot of danger there when you criticize things or people or corporations or whatever for something that you don't know is legit or potentially isn't legit.
Hmm.
That makes it so that when you do want to criticize them for something that is legit, it adds question to your criticism.
Right.
So I always want to be careful about that.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I completely agree. I will say that in the absence of any hard evidence that Apple did anything differently, it seemed like they did care about privacy. And I think that like it made sort of business sense too to have that as a differentiating factor in a world where absolutely everyone is collecting everything about you that they can.
Yeah.
Apple comes out here and is like, guess what? We don't have a huge ads business. We get all our money from hardware and software to a certain degree, but it's mostly iPhone sales, Mac sales. Like that's where they're making a lot of their money, and now it's services as well. They're selling subscription services and all this stuff, and that's huge. But it hasn't been like a data collection. We're serving you ads, and that's how we make money. That's been Google's thing. So I was willing to believe to a certain extent, in the absence of evidence, that Apple did care about, or not. I don't want to say care about your privacy, but that they had chosen to not. Yeah. Do this type of collection. But
I was hoping that was the case. I wasn't 100% confident.
Yeah.
I feel like the place that I find this to be the most egregious is in the political realm. So when you have people attacking people that they don't agree with politically, for like physical features or aesthetic reasons, like I don't like this person's hair or the way they dress or something like that. Not only does it usually just bolster and steal the resolve of the other side, because they're like, that's a stupid reason to attack my person, but it's not accomplishing anything, and it makes all your other accusations just seem lame.
Mm-hmm.
So like you're not helping anything by throwing these criticisms out there that don't actually matter.
Right.
So I try to keep it legit. But with that, speaking of legit,
yes,
merch messages time.
Let's do it.
Curated merch messages.
You gonna read them? Do you want me to read them? Why don't you read them, Luke?
You read them, yeah.
I can barely see them, so maybe it's better if you do read them. We'll start with this one for you, though, Luke. Hi, Luke. Okay. What's your opinion on external GPUs? I personally use a Mac Studio M1 Ultra for Blender with no external GPU. Do you think they're worth it?
Using it for Blender. So it's very, very likely a professional reason why you're doing it. So it might be a good idea to grab one. External GPUs are very neat and very problem prone in my experience. Their failure rates they feel high to me. So I don't know. I've tried to stay away from them pretty much as I can, and that's been pretty easy because I haven't had a lot of use cases why I would need one. I've used them multiple times, and they've been kind of a pain every time. But when I used to do that was in the infancy of external GPUs, so that kind of makes sense. One time that I used one more recently was with an Asus laptop that Linus had at his house, and it was flawless. So I don't know. That was an external GPU that was made specifically for that laptop, like a power upgrade kind of situation. Maybe that helped it. Someone in Floatplane chat said you can't do eGPU on M1, so maybe get wrecked. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Poor
Drag
guy.
him, them.
I mean, I've got another question here on a similar vein. This guy also uses Blender cycles. That work type's dominated by NVIDIA, with NVIDIA prices climbing to the moon. Do you think RDNA 3 may be price competitive in this work type? Will AMD ever catch NVIDIA?
I have no idea. Hopefully. That's all I'd say. I can't say how it's going to perform before the thing comes out. But hopefully Labs tests that type of use case.
Yeah, a lot of it's the proprietary CUDA stuff that NVIDIA just holds, right?
That is a big problem, yeah.
This one's from Reese. Hey guys, do you have any takes on ID security? Australia has gone through a load of hacks on big businesses recently. Lots of data on the internet. 2 out of 5 of every Aussie personal data went online via health insurance.
Yeah, I find it very entertaining that the places, the things that I use that have the worst security are government services and banking services, which is just crazy.
Yeah, I can attest to that as well. I'm like, it's wild to me that those type of services, in my experience, don't have like if they do have 2-factor, it's just SMS.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
can we get this
Can we
together
not?
here? Like, come on, guys.
It's a lot of banks and government services are often gigantic, extremely slow moving, super bureaucratic situations where it's very hard to make those types of changes.
Yeah.
So like I get it from the tech teams that work on those services. I'm not blaming you. I understand you're dealing with muddy waters, but it's very disappointing. And anytime I go to do any banking stuff or any government services stuff, I'm just like, oh, this is like rough. When like accounts that I have for like random stupid games that I don't care about have like way better security than my government identity.
Exactly.
It's like this is weird, right? Like I don't know. This
Like
indie
Steam's
game
like, you're
has
not
better security.
no one's stealing your skins, bro.
Yeah,
We got you.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, your bank is like, we sent you an email. Could you? Are you who you say you are? Maybe I don't know.
You're not allowed to use special characters in your password
Yeah.
because we don't know how to sanitize
And
our
password
inputs.
character limits.
Oh yeah, and no specials,
Why?
and like, oh my gosh,
You used the symbol that is on this key in the keyboard, and we don't know how to say it, so you can't.
you're just talking about Desjardins.
I don't know
now?
what accent I'm doing.
You're
It's
doing
just,
Desjardins.
That's what the banks. They're all European, you know.
Yeah.
Last merch message, if you guys want to deal with this, it's by Nathaniel. Longtime watcher, first time merch message. I got my skydiving license last year and wanted to ask if either of you would ever do it.
Whoa.
Thanks for the gear.
I'm assuming that he meant either of you by like Linus and Luke. but
Linus, you have to answer this like
yeah,
Riley would.
I'll channel him.
You must channel him.
Did you just switch our
no,
names around?
no, you're
Yeah, that
you're
was a
Linus
little
now.
weird. Oh.
You have to impersonate Linus impersonating Riley.
Well, I don't have a Linus impression. I wish I did. I just haven't worked on it at all. I can work on it. You answer the question. You want to skydive, Luke?
You can answer the question too, just personally. You don't have to answer for Linus. Answer for yourself.
No, answer it personally.
I think I would definitely do. Now I feel way less of a need or a desire to skydive. I've never skydived. I feel I think before I had a kid, it changes you. Before I had a kid, I'm like, heck yeah, like let's go. I mean the rate of accidents is so low. I mean like the probability of anything happening is like so low. And so I'm like, oh, maybe if I ever get the chance, I'll do it. But now that I have a kid, it's like if someone's like, yeah, you want to go skydiving? I'm like, not really. I don't really feel. Why would I?
Don't feel
at
the
this
need.
point, yeah, it's like.
So my problem with it, because I actually looked into this like within the month. Let me try to find it. It's really expensive for one.
Yes, very true.
It's like genuinely real big money. And then I think they said they got like certified, right? In the merch messages.
Oh, it's gone.
Merch message.
It's gone.
Yeah, you got a license. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up.
You got a license. So licensing package, best value licensing package, blah 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 blah. Must complete all these different levels. Basically, okay. PFF package deal, $2,800.
Jeez.
Woo!
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's a lot of money and it's a lot of time. Like if I remember correctly, you have to do like 12 dives.
You have
or
to
something?
answer a skill testing question.
Which direction
You have to
is
receive
the
a text
ground?
message. But yeah, it's a lot of money and it's a lot of time. It's interesting to me. I would want to do one just for fun before I tried to dedicate to something that was so expensive and took so much time. I also don't understand really the reason?
To go skydiving?
To be certified.
Oh, okay.
I believe that lets
It's like
you
if you're
go
like,
by
oh, I want
yourself.
to skydive when I travel, like, you could just...
I think he's saying that he probably, or they got in the, they got their certification because they're doing it. Maybe they're an instructor. I don't know.
Okay.
Don't you have to have like a certification or a license to be allowed to do it by yourself without like being strapped to another person?
Yeah, and if you want to do it regularly, even if you don't want to be an instructor.
Is it worth $2,800 and 12 dives with other people anyways to be able to do it by yourself? Or should you just...
I think it's a small price to pay to feel alive.
I'd give anything for that.
You fool. No.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know. It's not off the docket for me, but yeah, not so sure. I'm enjoying diving for now.
Maybe on my bucket list. Maybe when I'm an old geezer and I'm like, I'm probably gonna kick it soon.
Let's jump out of a
Just throw
plane.
it. There was a movie. Didn't they do that in a movie? The Bucket List, the movie, I think. Moving on. Wait, is there anything else? What do we do?
We're moving on to the end
that's
of the
it.
show.
The end of the show.
Yeah.
I think
Just in
Thank you
time
guys
for me to
watching.
leave.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Riley, for joining me.
Hey, no problem.
It is 6, so it's time to let you go, I think. That's
yes.
how employment law works.
I was
or
going to
something.
try and come up with like some way to extricate
exit.
myself from this situation that I was.
Well, this is the best way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to run the thing from here.
Oh, you're going to do it.
And
Okay.
we'll see how this goes. Yeah, I'm gonna. It should work. I don't know.
Wait, I can
but
do
yeah,
it.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. That's what he says. I'm
Bad
pretty sure.
time?
Yeah.
Bat time or bad?
I think he used to say bat, and he says bad now. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on.
That's funny.
I've detected a change. Anyways, bye.
See you later.